Alright, here we go. Case 4. We did the prologue, I guess, last time. And now we're going to be looking around in this ballroom as Tyrion, I believe. We could also go to the hallway. But there is no one here. It's very empty right now. Kind of feel like the killer is going to show up at some point. Alright. Each table had a centerpiece of flowers on it. Most of the seats at the tables were filled. It didn't look like I'd be able to play here. That's right, Tyrion is looking for a place to go play chess. Like a nerd. Like an anime fan on prom night. Several gold-tinted chandeliers hung from the ceiling of the ballroom. They looked fancy enough to be worth a small fortune. It irked me knowing how much wealth the Duke must have been hoarding to afford all of this. So this is Duke Frege, right? Yeah, this is Frege Manor. Let's go to the hallway. This place looks pretty quiet, but there aren't any tables anywhere. I could play on the floor. What the? As I was walking through the hallways of the manor, I suddenly came face to face with a large animal. Before I could even realize what I was looking at, the creature quickly scampered away. Did someone leave a door open? I thought about telling someone, but the manor was full of nobles. I was sure that a servant would spot it eventually, and if it wasn't as if anyone would believe me anyway. But they wouldn't believe, hey, look, I saw a big old wolf. I mean, seriously. Makes sense to me. Either way, it would be best to look for somewhere else to play. Alright. The gallery? What is that? A red sword? I continued exploring the manor and found myself in a room with several displays. Oh, is that the... what do they call it? The Sword of Magic ceiling or whatever? It looked like a gallery of some kind, but it was slightly out of place here. There were a few nobles in the room, and they were all silently appreciating the exhibits. William Frege must have paid a museum to display some historical exhibits for the Lord's Ball. There's a face I haven't seen before. Who are you? He wore the vestments of an archaeologist, carrying 2 large satchels crammed with tools, maps, and other instruments. His hair was white and his skin was wrinkled, but he walked with the youth and spirit of someone who had a much longer life ahead of him. Although all of these features were far less notable than the monkey hanging off of his back. He literally has a monkey on his back. The small orangutan tilted his head as he looked at me curiously. When I looked directly at him, he hid himself behind the old man's shoulder, peeking at me from behind it. I'm Harold Haroldson. I'm the curator of this collection. Is that name a pseudonym or something? No. No. Okay. Harold Haroldson, occupation historian. Age unknown, the leader of House Haroldson. He appears to be an archaeologist and historian. His noble house owns the Haroldson Hall of History, located in Homerith. Okay. That can't actually be his real name. I see. Wait, as the curator of this museum, he must have known a lot of myths and history. I wondered, how much do you know about the myths and cultures of nations other than Weirengard? His eyes narrowed. Even his monkey eyed me suspiciously. It is literally doing that. I know you. Your name is Cuthbert, isn't it? It was never a good sign whenever someone recognized me. You're not exactly a friend of the nobility. I have to ask why you're here. I'm accompanying my mentor. She has business with someone. He eyed me warily, but his stare didn't carry the usual disdain I received from other nobles. I swear on the Scaled Lord I'm telling the truth.
Scaled Lord is not someone whose name you should invoke so lightly. But it sounds like you're telling the truth. I just can't help but wonder why you're interested in the other nations, though.
I needed to tread carefully. He seemed nice, but he was still a noble. The kingdom scoured any available knowledge on the other nations. It was difficult to find anything on the celestial gods. But I didn't get many opportunities like this. I'm trying to learn more about the celestial gods.
That's not something I'd make a habit of telling people, especially someone in your position.
I know, but it's been impossible to find any information about them. I really need to find out more. Can you help me?
I can't exactly say no to such a curious mind. I'll help you the best I can, but don't let anyone know about this. Sharing this information is technically outlawed by the kingdom.
Ooh, this boy could put us in all of us in danger, he thought. Interesting. Well, would you like to see my runestone?
Ah, what is this? A rare artifact?
It's an attorney's runestone. It proves that I'm a certified attorney.
Bah. All of my colleagues have similar devices. They're so enamored with all these newfangled functions. Well, you won't catch me chasing passing fads like that.
Okay. So what's a historian doing at the Lord's Ball, Lord Haroldson?
Harold.
Oh, okay. Mr. Harold.
Harold.
He was being really stubborn about this. It'd be best to just go with it. My apologies, Harold.
The Duke of Finance invites my museum to set up some displays here every year. He must think it adds a semblance of culture, the Philistine.
Yeah, a Philistine. He called him a Philistine. Do they have Philistines in this setting?
It's the Haroldson Hall of History, located in the city of Homerith. Unfortunately, I don't think his guests appreciate the historical significance of these items. Honestly, I think you're the only person in years who's taken a meaningful interest in them.
Small monkey. Sorry, but I have to ask. Is that a monkey riding on your back? I looked at the animal, but he quickly avoided eye contact with me and hid behind Harold's shoulder.
Yes, this is my familiar, Eugene.
Ah, he's a transmutation guy, okay. Oh, you cast familial bond on him.
I'm surprised you know about it. It's quite rare. Very few mages take the time to learn how to cast it.
Familial bond. Hey, we had that last time. As a reminder, the caster forms a magical, unbreakable bond with the target creature, connecting them to the caster's magic. While this bond exists, the caster can telepathically communicate with the target over any distance. The caster can also choose to see through the target's eyes, as long as they concentrate. Any spells that affect the caster will also affect the target creature, and vice versa. Lastly, the caster can also cast spells from the location of the target creature instead of their own location.
Eugene helps me with my day-to-day. These old bones aren't as spry as they used to be, after all.
The celestial gods. Harold, what do you know about the celestial gods? I haven't been able to find anything about them.
That makes sense. They're primarily worshipped by the people of the theocracy of Lumina.
That might explain why worship of them is outlawed. Lumina was the kingdom west of us, but I knew very little about them. All I knew was that we fought them during the First War of Weirengard, and then later doing the Great Illuminite War. They'd been Weirengard's long-standing enemy for a while. Simply asking about them could raise suspicions of treason.
There are 9 celestial gods, each representing a different domain of heaven. Deus, Odin, Machina, Horus.
I'm sorry, one of them is named Horus?
Yes, Horus the Lightbringer. He's the god of radiance and ruler of the 6th domain in heaven.
The Lightbringer, you say? Oh, interesting. Wait a minute. What did Heavensborn is what Eris called him at the start, right? If I remember right. I thought I just made that name up when I was younger. Horus was real.
Is something wrong?
No, I was just thinking about what you said. Horus the Lightbringer. Could you tell me more about Horus?
As I said, he's the god of radiance. The sun and the concept of light lie within his domain. He's also said to embody the virtues of truth, justice, and life itself. He is the enemy of lies.
It was a little unnerving how much of a chord that struck with me. It also reminded me of something. Did that mean that naught could remain concealed from him?
Some legends claim so. I'll be honest, I only have so many texts available to me. My knowledge of Lumina is limited to their myths, and my requests to travel to Lumina have been denied for decades. But there are many stories of his followers being blessed with the ability to see through lies and deception.
Almost as if they had his eyes. But that didn't make any sense. I didn't worship Horus. I didn't even know who he was until tonight. Why would he give me this ability? No. I needed to think of this more rationally. The mages of Weirengard supposedly descended from people blessed by the Scaled Lord. Using that logic, could I have descended from people who were blessed by Horus? Which of the 9 gods controls the chess dimension? That's a really good question. Yeah. I mean, is it Horus? Because, is he the god of not resting until you've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny? One would think so. Are any of his followers established in Weirengard?
Heavens no, the Luminites are viewed as enemies of Weirengard. I'd imagine any known followers would have had unfortunate accidents befall them.
That might explain why my mother never talked about him with me, but I'd really wished she'd left me something.
You're being awfully inquisitive about this. Why are you so interested in Horus and his followers?
It's purely academic curiosity. He clearly wasn't convinced, but he didn't push the matter further. Alright. Let's look around. It's a pair of metallic armbands. There are several magical runes carved into them.
Those are the armbands of intellect. They were actually created by a member of House Frege many centuries ago.
Centuries? That would mean these armbands predate the invention of artificery.
That's correct. Legends say that whoever wore these armbands would be granted unparalleled levels of intellect. Many believe that House Frege created these to help them unlock the secrets of magic.
Armbands of intellect. All right. The armbands of intellect are an ancient artifact. When worn by a creature, that creature's intelligence will be increased beyond the limits of an average human. Legends say that it was forged by a member of House Frege to further their study of magic. Okay. It's a pair of golden earrings. They're small jewels embedded in each of them.
I call them the Earrings of Vitality. They're an artifact I found in the ruins of a large Luminite temple. Whoever wears these would have their lifespan increased tenfold.
I'm sure it's just a legend, though. Did you read that from some ancient texts?
Not exactly.
I didn't even know that there were Luminite temples in Weirengard.
Almost all of them have been completely demolished by the kingdom over the years. A lot of Weirengard's territories once belonged to the theocracy. The kingdom would rather have everyone forget that.
The Earrings of Vitality. The Earrings of Vitality are an ancient artifact. When worn by a creature, that creature's wounds will slowly heal over time. Furthermore, its holder's lifespan increases tenfold for as long as they're worn. Harold Haraldson found these in the ruins of an old Luminite temple. It's a painting of some sort of scientist.
That man is Dr. Luke Kupfer. He was an alchemist and inventor from the nation of Akaris. He is well known for his studies into imbuing intelligence into automatons.
Intelligent automatons? Would that make them similar to arcane constructs?
Yes, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Lord Von Sanctus used Dr. Kupfer's research to create those constructs.
I doubted he even created them. He seemed to be importing all of them from Akaris and taking credit for their work. It's a painting of a researcher.
That is Professor Matt Furland. He was a professor of some renown. He was a researcher of combinatorial magic theory.
What's that?
It's the study of how different types of magic interact with each other. He famously ran an experiment on what would happen if two anti-magic fields overlapped each other.
That's actually pretty interesting. What are the results of the experiment?
Well, they had mages enter the space where the two fields overlapped. It turns out those mages were able to use their magic in that space.
Wait,
how would that be possible? They would have had two anti-magic fields affecting them. When the two fields overlap, they cancel each other out. I've heard that it's akin to multiplying two negative numbers together. Inventor of candy corn, apparently. Really? What? Okay. I wonder if that's... I mean, these I think are like Kickstarter backers or something, or like have a character in the setting kind of thing. I don't know for sure, but yeah. Anyway, let's look at the sword. Oh, those things he's holding look like candy corn to me. Oh, true, it does look like candy corn. You're right. I hadn't thought about that, but yes. It's a crimson red short sword. That's the sword of spell eating. Legends say that it has the power to nullify any kind of magic. Now, what? I mean, it's right there. It's not like you can't test it out if you didn't want to, you know? Like, just grab it and try it. So it's like an anti-magic field. In a way, but has less than heroic origins. It's said that this sword was created through a blood pact between a mage and a demon. A demon? Demons are terrible and powerful creatures. They exist solely to sow chaos and oppose the gods. They supposedly took great pride in their ability to deceive and corrupt people. Legends say that most demons had the power to absorb and nullify magic. Many have theorized that a demon imbued some of that power into this sword. The Sword of Spell Eating. The Sword of Spell Eating is an ancient artifact. When wielded by a creature, that creature and anything connected to them, physically or magically, are immune to all harmful magical effects. Legends say that it was forged through a blood contract between a mage and a demon. Is it safe to put something like this on display? Oh, don't worry. These displays are fortified with several abjuration spells. I'd bet even Lord Steelwind would have trouble getting into this. Haraldson's security. The artifacts on display at the Lord's Ball were protected by layers of abjuration spells. Even a highly skilled mage would have trouble breaking into them. Alright, it's interesting too. Those demons don't sound very nice. Glad there aren't any of them around. Yeah, I'm really glad. I'm sure there are no demons at all. At all. My attention was drawn to the earrings of vitality. They were supposedly an artifact from the ancient days of the theocracy. Harold, would it be okay if I took a closer look at these earrings? How presumptuous. He's mad. I promise I'll be careful with them. I suppose I can make an exception this time. Lord Haraldson walked up to the display and whispered something into the runic console attached to it. I heard several magical locks disengage before he opened the display case and carefully pulled out the artifact. I laid my hands out so he could delicately place them in my hands. I carefully inspected the earrings. Each of them had a golden frame with a red luminous stone embedded at its center. They gleamed brightly under the artificial lights of the gallery, almost abnormally so. Wait, there's something engraved in these earrings. What? I could barely make out the text engraved on the golden frame. It was nearly microscopic. I lie at the beginning of illumination. I lie within eternity, and I cannot be found in shadows. What am I? A riddle? Huh. What is the solution to this riddle? Oh no. Is it the Eye of Horus? No, the riddle was as such. Okay, hang on. I lie at the beginning of illumination. I lie within eternity, and I cannot be found in shadows. There's always a trick to riddles like this. It wasn't speaking literally. The letter I. It's the letter I. Illumination starts with I, eternity contains I, and there's no I in shadows. The earrings suddenly lit up, blinding light washing over the gallery. Oh, great job, Tyrion. What did we do? What did we just do? What happened? What happened? I felt the ground disappear from under me. I felt like I was floating in water. I should have been shocked and surprised, but the sensation somehow felt familiar and nostalgic. You've strayed very far from home, young one. A voice rang out from all around me. It felt like bells ringing and reverberating inside my head.
You're not much of a warrior, but maybe a warrior isn't what's needed to dispel the encroaching shadows. The light within you. Why is it so reminiscent of my fallen friend?
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I suppose it doesn't matter from which spark that flame came. It burns bright within you like that of a burning star. Go forth and walk the path of radiance. My heavens-born.
That's what she called him, a heavens-born, right.
She said, I finally found you, heavens-born. Divine edict. Divination. A prayer of truth. Instantaneous. A divine invocation to manifest any covenant written in blood and spirit. All will be revealed whether said covenant was forged in heaven or hell. Heaven or hell. Let's rock.
Did we just get a spell? Mr. Cuthbert, are you okay?
What?
What just happened? All I did was blink. I suddenly found myself back in the gallery as if awoken from a dream.
You were just standing there staring at nothing.
Didn't you see that blinding light? There was that loud voice, too.
I didn't see anything.
May I see those earrings? Right, of course. I don't see the engraving you were talking about. I know it's small, but it's right. As I took another look at the earrings, I realized that the riddle had disappeared. The golden frame was smooth and unblemished. It was as if the text had never been there. What? Was I just seeing things?
I doubt you hallucinated such a specific riddle.
Am I being pranked? Did someone from the Historical Society put you up to this? No, it was... What was going on? Did that riddle have something to do with the Eye of Horus? I hoped Celeste's investigation was going better than mine. How dare you insinuate such a thing? I wasn't trying to insult you, I just... Enough. If you try to speak with me again, I'll have you arrested for harassment. The noble woman stormed off in a huff. Celeste just let out an exhausted sigh. Every conversation she'd tried hadn't gone any differently. This isn't working. I don't think asking them like that will be very effective. What? Did you expect anyone here to be truthful with you? You're essentially asking them if they engaged in adultery. Oh. Hey, Arya. I'm surprised to see you here. You're not party crashing, are you? Of course not. I came here with Ruby and Tyrion. That honestly just raises more questions, but I'll take your word for it. I don't know if it's any of my business, but you should think about whether this is what you truly want. What? I understand wanting to find out more about yourself, but getting entangled in the aristocracy will only bring you misery. I should know. I just want to know more about where I came from. It might help me understand all this weirdness inside me. I don't think you're weird at all. I quite enjoy your company. Aw, really? I'm sure Mr. Cuthbert feels the same way. Really? Is something wrong? No, it's just that... Actually, what do you think about Tyrion, Arya? Well, he's a remarkable attorney. His deductive skills are incredible. Frankly, I'm a little envious of his talent. I'm loath to admit that Ruby Tamora has taught him well. I meant as a person, Arya. I only know him in a professional capacity. But don't you notice how much he cares about people? I suppose he is quite dedicated to his job. But it's not just a job to him. He really cares about his clients and helping them. It doesn't matter how much danger he puts himself in. It doesn't matter who threatens him. He just keeps going, and it's honestly kind of annoying. He won't back down from anyone, even the Four Pillars. Ever since he indicted Pierce, someone has been sending people to Tyrion's home. I'm good at my job, but I'm worried I'm going to slip up one day and let him get seriously hurt. I am sorry about that. I wish I could do more to help you with that. It's fine. It's my responsibility to protect him. Have you ever told him how worried you've been? I don't want to stop him from doing what he's doing, and I don't think he'd even listen if I did. That's what makes him who he is. He's helping a lot of people. He inspires them, too. He's amazing and courageous and caring and sweet and... Celeste. No, I don't know. Things have been really weird since Arno.
I've been meaning to ask about that. Did something happen during Draken's trial? Oh, we kind of slept together. Before marriage? No, not like that. We just slept in the same bed and held hands. Before marriage? What? I suppose everyone has different levels of libido, but you shouldn't be so reckless. Arya, I'm not gonna get pregnant from holding Tyrion's hand. Even so, I'm not sure what kind of woman you think I am. I do not wish to indulge you in your lecherous tales of illicit hand-holding. Oh, like you've never wanted to hold Aster's hand or anything like that? I would never. I only have the utmost respect for him. Come on, I was there at the refinery. It's obvious you like him like that. Please, you're grossly exaggerating things. And what if I told you he was standing right behind you? Do you honestly think I'd fall for such an obvious lie? What are you falling for? Huh? Arya's entire body whipped around to face her fiancé. She almost tripped as she stumbled backwards. Oh no, this is so goofy. Her voice started to break into a soft, high-pitched whimper. Your Highness? Celeste noticed how Arya's eyes were frequently darting between the Crown Prince's face and his hand. Oh, hello, Lady Steelwind. Your Highness, please don't run ahead like that. After my otherworldly encounter, I decided to head back to the ballroom and wait for Celeste. This is so lewd, it's going to be banned from YouTube. Yes, hand-holding. Oh my. Yeah. I was able to find a seat somewhere, and it gave me a chance to think over what had happened. I'd solved some sort of riddle. It mentioned illumination and shadows. Horus was the god of light, and those earrings were of Luminian origin. Did my Eye of Horus react to them? Lord Haraldson had probably owned those earrings for years, yet he didn't see anything. And then there was this... Actually, I had no idea what this divine edict was. Was it a prayer, a riddle, an ability? A divine invocation to manifest any covenant written in blood and spirit? What did that even mean? It just sounded like some sort of flowery nonsense the Church of Bahamut would say. If it was some kind of spell, it was nothing like the arcane spells I'd seen in compendiums. The descriptions of those spells were far more straightforward. I just felt like the more I learned about myself, the more questions I found. Scaled Lord, how long had I been staring at that girl? My eyes just locked onto the first thing across the room, and it was clear she noticed me looking at her. I quickly looked away, but as I glanced back, she flashed me a friendly smile. She didn't look offended, which was a relief. I'd imagine any other noblewoman would use this as an excuse to have me thrown out. Actually, she seemed to be the only person in the room who wasn't disgusted by my presence. Maybe Celeste was right. I needed to learn to approach new people, and fate was giving me an opportunity. Yeah, not even just hand-holding. It was extramarital hand-holding. Oh my gosh. How lecherous can we be? As I walked across the room, several nobles gave me the side eye. She was surrounded by several attendants who moved to stop me from approaching her. However, she waved her hand to dismiss them. That was a good sign. Her attendants seemed to disapprove, but they didn't raise any objections and left quietly. On a closer look, she seemed to be a noble of some renown, but she seemed to exhibit a modesty that most aristocrats lacked. She was actually quite beautiful. Not as beautiful as Celeste, but... what was I thinking? I shouldn't be objectifying them like that. That's like, Flight of the Conchords. I want to tell her that she's beautiful, but she might think I'm sexist. She's so beautiful, she's making me sexist. I realized I was standing in front of her, silently having this conversation with myself. She looked confused. I needed to say something. How did normal people talk? Should I say a formal greeting, or would that just come off as pretentious? Maybe I should say something more casual, like Celeste would. I could make some kind of observation to connect with her somehow. Come on, Tyrion, just say something. Hey, my fellow blonde, what's going on? Okay. This memory would haunt me for the rest of my life. Hello. I cleared my throat. I'm sorry if I was staring. I was just daydreaming, I guess. Oh, that's okay. I wasn't staring at you. That's not to say that I wouldn't intentionally stare at you. Tyrion, what the hell are you saying? He's going to think you're a psychopath. I wanted to tell her how beautiful she was, but all that came out, yeah, I'm the conductor of the poop train! Oh, man, you remember when Borderlands was actually a good franchise? Oh, I do. I do. I do. Recalibrate. Change the subject. Social interactions occurred for the sake of engaging individuals in activities. What activity would someone do at the Lord's Ball? Would you like to dance? Tyrion, you don't know how to dance. Okay. Hey, Aster, what do you think of Arya's dress? It suits you quite well, Arya. You look lovely. Gross. But I must say, Miss McCoy, I'm surprised to see you here. How did you get an invite to the Lord's Ball? I'm just tagging along for one of Ruby's jobs. Ah, that explains why Mr. Cuthbert is here as well. Oh, Tyrion's back? Where is he? Her eyes scanned the ballroom until she found Tyrion. Who the hell is that? Oh, I believe that's Lady Freyja. That's strange. She usually rebukes most men who approach her. Oh, she does she? I guess Tyrion's special for some reason. He never told me he could dance. They were stumbling along the dance floor. The Crown Prince watched as Tyrion stepped on Lady Freyja's toes several times. I don't think he actually can. What would Freyja want with Tyrion? She's up to something. Arya, what do you know about her? Arya was still staring blankly at the Crown Prince. It looked like she was running through several calculations in her head, but failing to arrive at anything. Ugh. Another misstep caused me to step on her foot. I am so sorry. I don't do this a lot. Or at all. It's okay. At least you're... She winced in pain as I accidentally kicked her foot again. It felt like I was slowly chipping away at that considerate smile on her face. Perhaps you should follow my lead. I carefully looked downwards, watching to make sure I didn't accidentally parry her foot with mine. It honestly made it easier. Looking at her face presented its own distraction. I'm Tyrion, by the way. Yes, I'm aware. You've been in the paper a lot recently. Oh. I'm Leif of House Freyja. Oh! Leif Freyja, occupation noble, age 18, the middle child of William Freyja. She seems conflicted between her father's death and Beatrice's arrest for his murder. She's much kinder than Miriam. It's hard to believe they grew up in the same home. Well, wait a minute. That's like a future casting statement, because the murder hasn't happened yet, right? Because we, went back in time. Of all the people I could have approached, I chose someone from one of the Four Pillars families. But she didn't seem too bothered. Why would she agree to dance with me if she knew who I was? I'm sorry for not bringing it up sooner. I can imagine you wouldn't want to associate with someone like me. No, it's just that I had a run-in with your sister a few months ago. I don't think she cares for me that much. Then it sounds like we have something in common. Before she could finish that thought, she suddenly froze. I almost tripped as I avoided stepping on her foot again. She was staring wide-eyed at something behind me. Her breathing was quickening, and her hand began to squeeze my shoulder. I turned to look and saw Beatrice storming through the ballroom. Is that... I'm terribly sorry. I have to go. Without another word, she quickly left, hurrying after Beatrice. Did the two of them know each other? Ah, did you get snubbed? Oh, thank the Scaled Lord. Someone I actually know. So, who was that? She wore her usual approachable smile, but I could have sworn something about her tone was louder than usual. I was trying to talk to people. Isn't that what you told me to do? Yeah, but I didn't mean that you should shoot your shot with a Frege. You're gonna tell me how you pulled that off. Do I have to? Yes. Sit down. I snuck you some bread rolls from the buffet. Oh, have you tried them? They're amazing. Yeah. It really is you. Where have you been all this time, Beatrice? We've been so worried about you. Really? It appears you two have much to talk about. I'll be taking my leave. I've known for a while, but I still can't believe it. You're actually marrying her, aren't you? You didn't leave me much choice. As the future king of Weirengard, I have responsibilities. I doubt you would know anything about that. When did you suddenly start caring so much about responsibility? I've always done what I had to for the people of Weirengard. I barely even recognize you anymore. I'd certainly hope so, considering what I was like back then. I've always done what was necessary to stay in control. But what you're doing to Arya is... I know. But she's willing to put aside her disdain of me for the sake of Weirengard. Nine hells, do you seriously still not... Never mind, it seems that you're just as much of an oaf as you were before. And your words still have such a unique way of cutting into me like a knife. I oddly missed that. Beatrice just scoffed at that. Oh my, please say it again. I really don't want to. Come on, the look on your face gets better each time. Oh. Hey, my fellow blonde. What's going on? Celeste just started snickering to herself again. She started slamming her fist on the table, drawing some looks from the aristocrats nearby. I can't believe it. I guess any line will work when it comes from you. I'm just glad it's over. I look like an idiot out there. Hey, it's not over yet. You owe me a dance. What? Don't be like that. How often do we get to go to a party like this? Before I had a chance to object, she grabbed my hand and started dragging me to the middle of the dance floor. Celeste, people are staring at us. Who cares? They're nobles. They're gonna hate us no matter what we do. She took hold of my other hand and pulled me into a waltz. Celeste, I have no idea what I'm doing. It's easy. Just stop being so awkward about it. That was easy for her to say. All right, can you at least tell me what to do? Well, first, you need to be closer to me. With one swift motion, she pulled my body closer to hers. Okay. I think at this point I need to like unveil one of my theories. And one of my theories is Celeste is actually a dragon. Okay. I think the guy at the start who was like that mysterious advisor, I think he's actually the Scaled Lord. And I think Celeste is also a dragon. My reasoning is she's weirdly strong, and I think more than just in an anime way. She likes to eat raw bear meat, which feels very not human thing to do. And she picks up magic, which we know comes from dragons, super easily. But anyway, I digress. Oh, I don't remember being this close when I was dancing with Leif. Yeah, well, I'm not Leif. Watch where I'm going and follow my lead. You seem to know a lot about these things. I had to do a lot of networking when I was a mercenary. Do you know how many times I had to charm a merchant into hiring me? I see. I carefully watched the movements of her feet and tried to match them. She just heard about the bear meat thing on Joe Rogan. That's... yeah. Uh-huh. I love it. Yes. I'm down for that. Listen. Have you tried bear meat? It's the new diet I've been on. It's like deep carnivore. You just eat nothing but bear meat. I carefully watched the movements of her feet and tried to match them. After a while, we both fell into a gentle rhythm. I accidentally stepped on her foot, but she didn't seem to react at all. Was she being polite, or did she genuinely not feel any pain? You're getting it, but don't focus on so much on where your feet are. Just look at me. What? Come on, look up. I finally looked at her, and she smiled back at me. It was embarrassing being this close, but every time I avoided her eyes, I found myself being drawn back into them. Ah, there he is, the infamous Tyrion Cuthbert. He never turns away from challenging a noble, but he can't stand a step to save his life. I was starting to become lightheaded for some reason. Was I sweating too much? I really hoped it wasn't visible. Every part of my body was tense, but I didn't want to break away from her. There was a comforting warmth behind all this. Things were always different with her. I let myself relax a bit more and continued matching her movements. See? There you go. But what is it? You know, the man is supposed to lead, right? Maybe I don't subscribe to gender stereotypes. Or maybe you just suck at this. I had forgotten what it was like to let go like this. It always felt like there was something to prepare for. A client that needed saving. A killer that needed catching. I'd been so caught up in trying to learn more about the Eye of Horus that I was ignoring other thoughts I'd been having. I took a deep breath. Can we talk about what happened in Orono? Oh! I felt her arm tense around my shoulder. It was weird, wasn't it? Us sleeping together? I know we didn't sleep, but I was nailing this. I was absolutely nailing this. No, I get it. It wasn't exactly professional. Yes, exactly. It was very unprofessional of me. Even if it was an accident, I'm worried that I overstepped my boundaries as your employer. Well, Ruby's my employer. You're different. Different? How? She seemed to think about it for a moment before she sighed to herself. I guess you're the only other person who doesn't treat me like a monster. Because you're a mage. Come on, Tyrion, you've seen me fight. I know you're just being polite about it, but it's off-putting, right? It really isn't. What are you talking about? Really? It doesn't freak you out whenever I beat up a crowd of thugs in an alleyway? Or how about last night when I ragdolled that thief trying to break into your house? I was honestly more impressed by that than anything else. Stop being nice about it. I know it's not normal. Something inside me really enjoys fighting. I love it, but I also hate it. Every time someone's seen me fight, they start looking at me like I'm some kind of bloodthirsty freak. Even my parents used to look at me like that sometimes. I'm really sorry if I've ever looked at you like that. That's the worst part, you haven't. I never know what you're really thinking. You always charge headfirst into danger without a second thought. This whole kingdom is rotting with corruption. I don't get how you can be so hopeful and optimistic all the time. This world is corrupt. If only I could make it as beautiful as me. I really admire you for that, but sometimes it feels too good to be true. It makes me wonder what's really going on inside your head. You're really passionate about protecting the people you care about. When you fight, I see someone who cares deeply. You love the people around you so much that you're driven to stop anyone who threatens them. You make it all look so effortless. I don't think I've met anyone as strong as you. I thought you were always proud of that. It's one of the things I've always admired about you. I saw a smile curl on her lips as her face became flushed. You know the truth about me. I'm not some idealistic hero. I'm just a dumb, traumatized kid who thinks he can save everyone. We both stayed silent for a while, simply moving to the beat of the music. Tyrion, I didn't mind being unprofessional with you. Oh. That's good. But only if you were okay with that. Would you be okay with things like that? Oh. I still wasn't certain about what she meant, or why she suddenly switched to the present tense. Was she trying to imply that she also wanted to... No. I couldn't rush forward until I had more evidence. What am I doing? I could be playing chess against myself right now. Seriously, I could literally be playing chess right now. I get my kicks above the waistline, sunshine. I needed to be tactful and vague. Well, I appreciate some level of professionalism in my work, but with you... I mean, that is to say that I'd like to attempt... that's not to say that I don't want to only be professional with you. What? Scaled Lord, I just needed to say what I wanted to say. I've never felt this way about someone before. Oh! Happy and surprised. Look at that. I don't know how to navigate this, but I want to. If you're okay with it. Could we try? I suddenly heard the footfalls of several knights behind me. Celeste's eyes widened, her lips pursed. Confused, I began to turn my head to see what the commotion was, but she just grabbed me by the chin. Hey, why don't you finish that thought first? Too late! The moment is currently on pause. It is on pause. Beatrice Frege. Did he just say Beatrice Frege? I think something's happening. Nope, it's just Orem. Turns out he's just an absolute monster on the dance floor. Uh-huh. Well, that just made me want to look more. By the authority of the Weirengard Crown, you're under arrest. Seriously? Now? We should go see what's happening. Yeah. You are completely out of line, Commander. I thought I told you to stand down. Do you not recognize who you're speaking to? Let go of Lady Frege. I can't really do that, Your Highnesses. As we approached Beatrice, we saw the two princes standing between the Inquisition and Beatrice. Your Highness, what's going on? The Crown Prince scanned the room. Everyone's eyes were on him. He leaned towards me and spoke in a hushed whisper. It's William Frege. He was found murdered in his study. And these cretins think Beatrice is behind it somehow. Sorry, Your Highness, but my orders came straight from Steelwind. Lady Steelwind sent you? Beatrice cursed under her breath and clapped her hands together. I should go with them. What? No! My brother is right. They have no right to... We're causing a scene, and I don't want to cause friction between you and Arya. She's always been meticulous. I'm sure she's just being careful. I'm sure I'll be exonerated once they're thoroughly investigated what happened. Okay. What? You can't just let them take her away. Brother, she's correct. It is not our place to interfere with the laws of our kingdom. But, however... Yes, Your Highness? Miss Beatrice is blind. One of your knights will need to escort her. She's what? Beatrice's blindness. Yes, I know. We had that before. Anyways, we're gonna need to take you to a holding cell, lady. One of you should stay with her and guide her. Please. I'm not a child. Beatrice walked past the knights and toward the foyer. It appeared that she already knew her way out. Shouldn't you all be following her? Right. In position. Move out. It seemed to be just my luck that a night like this would end in murder. A twisted night, you might say. What the hell was going on? Da-da-da-da-da. I gotta do the song myself. Oh, it's daytime. I can't believe they kept us here until noon. The Lord's ball had already run well into the night, even before the murder occurred. I wanted nothing more than to catch up on my lost sleep, but I'd made a promise to the Crown Prince. After her meeting with William, she was with my brother and me the entire night. She couldn't have stolen the sword of spell eating and have murdered her father. Of all the people that could have done these two crimes, why would Steelwind suspect a blind woman? Yes, I just got a certain image that's amazing. Steelwind was never one to abuse her authority. There had to be a reason behind the arrest. Not to mention that the sword of spell eating had been stolen. After what Harold had said about it, I was uneasy about it going missing. Mr. Cuthbert, could you defend Beatrice against these awful charges? I doubt that will be necessary. What? Beatrice is Ruby's client. I'm sure that she'll be the one defending her. Well, that certainly puts my mind at ease. What's wrong? I'd like for you to investigate the crime scene for me, Mr. Cuthbert. What? But we told you that Miss Tamora... Well, I know. But Beatrice is a dear friend of mine. I'd like every chance for her to be found innocent. She was a dear friend. They must have known each other since she was a Frege. But why would Miss Tamora, of all people, represent a member of a Pillar family? Yes, thank you. It's amazing. Orem, the monster on the dance floor. Yes, it's beautiful. Leif also seemed like she hadn't seen Beatrice in a long time. It was as if she'd spotted a ghost. I can't believe this. Celeste returned to the ballroom. She'd changed back into her normal clothes. What's wrong? The people in the coat room said they couldn't find my sword. What? Celeste's missing sword? When Celeste went to the coat room to change, she was told that her sword had gone missing. Someone else must have taken it. She'd once told me that it was forged in the Eastern Kingdoms and crafted from the bones of a purple worm. It was potentially very valuable. Did someone steal it? Let's keep an eye out for it while we look around the manor. This might all just be some kind of mix-up. I hope so. So... Can we continue what we were talking about before? Oh, why was I so nervous about this? I just needed to tell her how I felt. How did I feel? It might be for the best that we focus on the investigation. His Highness is counting on us, after all. I was being a coward, but there was a kernel of truth to what I was saying. Oh, okay. But we will be talking about this later. Let's head to the crime scene. His Highness said that's where the body was found. Would you like to look at my runestone? Ah, there it is. Thanks for fixing my runestone. I was worried I'd have to buy a replacement. Honestly, artificery is kind of fun. I kind of want to make something else. Did you want to learn how to make small machines? I was thinking more of a weapon. Be careful. Making magic weapons can be iffy with the kingdom's laws. Well, it's a good thing I have a pretty good lawyer. The investigation. Are you worried about your missing sword? No. Well, yes, I am worried. But I'm sure it'll turn up eventually. She was trying her best to hide how worried she was. I knew how important her sword was to her. Hopefully it'll turn up somewhere in the manor. Next lead. Where should we go next? The body was supposedly found in the Duke's study on the top floor. We should probably start our investigation there. Let's go. The study. I arrived at the crime scene and saw the usual swarm of Inquisition knights. However, there were also some members of the Kingsguard alongside them. They must have been working together since the victim was the head of a Pillar family. I wasn't expecting to see you here, Mr. Cuthbert. I thought Ruby Tamora was defending this case. Prosecutor Steelwind approached us as we entered the study, and she was followed by an unexpected yet familiar face. Wallace, what are you doing here? He's here as my aide for the investigation, which we know from last time is actually he's her doctor, because apparently she was stabbed. Like, she's stabbed right now, I think. Which is crazy. I didn't doubt Wallace's abilities, but why would Steelwind need his help? Anyways, we're here on behalf of the Crown Prince. He hired us to investigate this case independently. I see. I'm sure he just wants to make sure the investigation goes smoothly. Well, if you're here on behalf of His Highness, I'll do whatever I can to help you. The whole situation was strange, but our goal remained the same. Steelwind should be able to tell us more about what happened. Would you like to look at my runestone? Your runestone is still in good shape, I see. Only because Celeste is really good at repairing it. You never told me you could work with artificery. I just started learning about it a month ago. Really? What's wrong? It's nothing. How does she have so much raw natural talent? Because she's a dragon. That's what I'm saying. The murder. What can you tell me? What can you tell me about the murder? It's my Gabriel Knight. It's my Tim Curry doing a Louisiana accent. What can you tell me about snakes? William Frege was found dead in this room after the lockdown was lifted. Wait, lockdown? What lockdown? From what we can tell, his throat had been slashed open with a letter opener. The cause of death was blood loss. Both of his carotid arteries were severed. It was expertly done. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Here's the autopsy report if you want a detailed description. Autopsy report on William Frege. Died at 3:12 a.m. Cause of death was blood loss after his throat was slashed open. Both carotid arteries were severed, meaning the death must have followed mere seconds after the wound was inflicted. Body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. Traces of illusion magic were also found on the body. Illusion magic? Oh, I know who's an illusionist. Was Eris involved in this somehow? Bad Eris. Evil Eris. I wonder. But we'll see. Were you able to find the murder weapon? Yes, it was a letter opener owned by the victim. The murderer must have found it in this room and used it. There was one strange detail about the weapon. The handle was completely shattered. We're not sure what to make of that detail, but it's as if something crushed the handle using tremendous force. Murder weapon. The murder weapon was a letter opener with House Frege's crest on it. It must have been owned by the victim. Its handle was completely shattered. Okay. What could have caused the handle to shatter like that? That is a great question. Murder weapon, autopsy report, Celeste's missing sword. Let's talk about Haroldson's security. I still fail to understand how you think Beatrice broke into Haroldson's secure exhibits. She's creative. I'm sure she found a way. Lockdown. You mentioned that there was a lockdown. When did this happen? You didn't notice. The Inquisition did try to be discreet. But everyone noticed the commotion Beatrice and the two princes made over it. I suppose you two must have been lost in your own little world, weren't you? Oh. Anyways, you said that the Duke's body was found after the lockdown? Was the lockdown triggered when the Sword of Spell Eating went missing? It didn't just go missing. There was clear evidence that someone had broken into one of the Haroldsson exhibits. So there was also a theft last night. Does the Manor's lockdown system behave like the one at the Imperial Academy? The systems are somewhat different. Unlike the Imperial Academy, the lockdown only prevented people from leaving or entering the Manor. So not all of the rooms were locked, but what about this specific room? This room does have abjurative wards that lock the door and prevent teleportation in and out of it. In addition to that, the system placed an anti-magic field over the Manor. Anti-magic field, okay? Abjuration, incantation, coteria. Alright? And the system somehow covered the entire Manor in this effect. I'm sure you noticed the several purple crystals embedded in the walls of the Manor. Each of those crystals produced an anti-magic field during the lockdown. Lockdown system. The lockdown system covers the entire Manor. Once activated, it creates magical barriers that prevent anyone from leaving or teleporting out of the building. In addition to this, it covers the entire Manor in an anti-magic field. Within this field, any and all magical effects are nullified and disabled. However, anyone physically or magically connected to the Sword of Spell Eating would be immune to the effects of the anti-magic fields. Aha! So, no one could cast magic during the entirety of the lockdown. Not exactly. Someone could have used the stolen artifact to circumvent it. Stolen artifact. We just learned that anti-magic fields are completely foolproof and there's no way around them. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? That's interesting. So that actually is something plot related. That is fascinating. Interesting. Can you tell me more about the theft? Who reported it? After Lord Haraldson reported what had happened, the Inquisition discreetly placed the manor on lockdown. They searched every room in the manor to try to find it. But it was eventually found in Beatrice's bedroom. And that led them to believe that she had stolen it. That's correct. The King's Guard moved to arrest her, but His Highness ordered them to step down. It didn't look like she was planning on fleeing, so they planned to wait until after the party had ended. But then they found the Duke's body. Correct. We believe that she used the stolen sword to nullify the magical locks and break into the Duke's study. But if she had the sword, why wouldn't she use that to commit the murder? We're not entirely sure. We have a few working theories. She might have wanted to prevent the theft from being tied to the murder. Or perhaps she had more confidence wielding a knife instead of a sword. Regardless of her reasons, it's clear that the sword wasn't the murder weapon. So she's not just being implicated in the Duke's murder, she's also being charged with stealing the sword of spell eating. But what possible reason could you have to do either of those crimes? And how could she possibly carry out all those crimes if she were blind? Talk about the Duke in the study. Since the body was found there, was the Duke locked in this room during the lockdown? Yes, William Frege knew that this room should have been secured. He was supposedly in a bad mood. He locked himself in this room for most of the night. He refused to let anyone into the room. The only person he spoke to after that was Leif. She tried to tell her father about the theft, but he was apparently preoccupied with something else. He said that he wanted to stay in his study for the rest of the night. Okay. Illusion magic, remember? Was illusion the one that could be like, hey, look, I'm gonna, make this person sound like this person, or, disguise myself? Because I'm wondering about this. Because that's like, oh, I'm upset. I'm going to stay where there's no witnesses for the rest of the night. When did this happen? It was shortly before the lockdown was activated, a little after 1 a.m. I see. Leif's testimony. All right, William Frege locked himself in. Yeah, okay. Same that we just got. Leif must have been the last person to see William Frege alive then. I was already acquainted with her. She might be able to tell me more about the Duke's actions that night. By the way, Steelwind, do you have a map of the manor? I do. Would you like a copy? Please and thank you. Frege Manor floor 1. It's a map of the ground floor of Frege Manor. It shows the rooms relevant to the case. Floor 2. Cool. Witnesses. Were there any other witnesses aside from Leif who saw the Duke that night? There was someone who heard the altercation, but it's not much to go off of. A servant was trapped in a storage room nearby. The air that connects to this room runs through that storage room. He supposedly heard sounds of a struggle through that vent. What did this witness hear? There were sounds of a struggle before he heard the Duke choking, presumably on his own blood. When the lockdown was lifted, he informed the King's Guard of what he'd heard. That's when they discovered the body. I see. Who was this servant? I believe you actually know him. His name is Jan Hughes. Oh, wow. What is Jan doing here? I never expected to see him again, much less here, of all places. Did William Frege hire him after he was let go from the academy? I guess so. Beatrice. Steelwind, I really need to understand why you think Beatrice did this. She's completely blind, isn't she? You don't know her as I do. It just seems really difficult to believe. House Frege has always thrived by politically maneuvering around the other pillar families, and no one has embodied that more than Beatrice. In her years of studying at the Imperial Academy, she didn't just excel, she dominated. She has an uncanny talent for understanding what people wanted, and she knew exactly how to use that to her advantage. During her first year, she had the ear of the student council president. By her second year, she had stolen his position from him, and she only gained more influence after that. It wasn't long before professors were deferring to her. Students would seek her favor. She even had her hands in the school board. In 4 short years, she had turned the Imperial Academy into her own personal empire. She's always calculating, and she knows exactly how to get what she wants. She was even arranged to marry the Crown Prince. Even now I'm living in her shadow, she thinks. Ooh. What? Did something happen to change that? I won't speak much more of it, but there was an accident. She was horribly injured and she lost her sight. I'm not sure what happened after that, but she later fled Frege Manor and went into hiding. No one knew where she'd gone, and she ignored any attempts we made to contact her. Last night's ball was the first time in years that Aster and I had seen her. All right, Beatrice. Then how did Miss Tamora meet her? Yeah, the meeting. Would you happen to know why Beatrice was meeting with her father after all these years? I have some ideas, but nothing concrete. I was hoping you could tell me. Tamora and Beatrice have both refused to disclose anything about their meeting. What could that meeting have been about? Speaking of which, I haven't seen Tamora anywhere in the manor. As the defendant's attorney, I would have thought that she'd be here to investigate the murder alongside you. That was strange, but Miss Tamora has always had her own way of doing her job. Perhaps she was using a different strategy. Anyways, I imagine that she met with her father to request financial aid. What makes you say that? I have it on good authority that she was deeply in debt. But that seems so unlike her. Was she truly that desperate? Wow, no emotion. That's the only reason why she would speak with her father after all these years. Also why I believe she was the one who murdered him. You think she murdered him for his inheritance? It's the only motive that makes sense. There was a lot to work through here. Prosecution was trying to assert that Beatrice committed the murder. But what would she have needed to do to carry out all the actions described? We need to narrow down the time that the murder occurred. When did the murder occur? The body was discovered after the lockdown was lifted, and Leif Frege saw her father alive before it was activated. He entered his study, and she watched as the lock engaged. When did the murder occur? Okay. The murder occurred after last night, before last night. Before the lockdown, right? No, if I assumed that Leif's testimony was correct, William Frege was alive before the lockdown was triggered, okay? Not only that, he said that he would stay in his study for the rest of the night, which meant that he probably never left his study. After the lockdown. Was alive. No, that he said. Okay. When did the murder occur? The murder occurred during the lockdown? Yeah. The murder must have occurred during the lockdown. But that means that the murderer somehow got past the abjuration wards that protected this room. Steelwind and the Inquisition believe that Beatrice used the Sword of Spell Eating to get past them. Regardless of what they think, we need to assume that the murderer used some kind of magic nullification to get to William's study. But that's not necessarily true, is it? What if the murderer entered the room before William locked it? If they were in the room when William locked it, they would have been trapped here until he decided to leave. Not only that, they would have been discovered the moment the guards entered his study. Maybe they used some kind of invisibility? Or they could have teleported away the moment the Kingsguard unlocked the door. This room is enchanted to block teleportation. A spell like that wouldn't have worked. Right. I remember Miriam did something similar to her dorm room at the Imperial Academy. What about Celeste's theory of an invisible assailant? I'll admit that we did find some small traces of illusion magic. But the moment the guards saw the body, one of them cast Detect Magic. With that spell, they would have seen any invisible people hiding in this room. Wait, you can use Detect Magic like that? Of course. It's standard procedure. Like all spells, invisibility leaves traces of magic on the person it's cast on. So mages can use detect magic as a way to see them. So we know for sure that they weren't here before or after the lockdown. This means that whoever committed the murder used some way to bypass the abjurative wards that protect this room. The method of entry. The murderer somehow entered William Frega's study despite it being protected with abjurative wards. These wards magically locked the only door leading into the room. They also prevented teleportation in and out of the room. It's possible to temporarily nullify these wards with the Sword of Spell Eating. The next thing to consider is the murder weapon. Right? Where did the murder weapon come from? It was a letter opener that was presumably owned by William Frega. The murderer probably used it to avoid leaving evidence that incriminated them. Alright.
What if...
The Duke... where did the murder weapon come from? The murderer took the artifact... in this... took the murder weapon outside the manor, I think? No, the letter opener was clearly owned by William Frega. So where would the murderer have taken it from? Took the murder weapon in Frega's study, right? I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Right. The letter opener came from this room. The murderer probably wanted to avoid using a weapon that would have implicated them. So they decided to use it and leave it here afterward. But that leaves a glaring hole in the prosecution's case. And what would that be, Mr. Cuthbert? What is flawed with the prosecution's case? It's Beatrice Frega is completely blind. Beatrice Frega is completely blind. Even if she were able to somehow break into a highly guarded exhibit, how did she slip past the guards and enter the Duke's study? Furthermore, how did she locate the letter opener if she couldn't see it in the first place? None of it makes sense. Committing this murder, unseen, would have been a tall order for anyone. I can hardly believe a blind person did all of this. You'd do well not to underestimate her, Mr. Cuthbert. Look, I understand that she's probably really intelligent, but it just seems impossible. If there's anything I know about Beatrice Frega, she can turn impossibility into inevitability if she wants to. Well, I guess we'll see. Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cuthbert? What's wrong? What would you do if you discovered that one of your clients was guilty? Oh, jeez. Man. What if that client hired a hitman to kill somebody for him, and that hitman had a really strong sense of honor? Just hypothetically speaking. What? I tend to have insight in these sorts of things. I've never been in that position. I've already seen. You know, speaking purely hypothetically, yeah, hypothetically speaking, just a pretend thought experiment. For the sake of argument, purely hypothetically speaking, let's say that metaphorically, your client was actually guilty. What then, logically, would follow after that? I've already seen your uncanny ability to read people, but why don't you humor me? What would you do if they were guilty? I suppose I'd withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer. And if no one else would represent them? I don't know. It would definitely be a difficult choice for me. Mr. Cuthbert, how would you feel this morning if you didn't have breakfast? But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I don't think I could stand by and let a murderer escape justice. What? Why do you ask? Oh, inside joke, but still. No reason. Okay. Anyway, she'd made her stance clear. I still had a lot of leads to follow up on. Alright. I like to think that I'm a good lawyer. Yeah. I'd like in my heart of hearts to really believe that I'm a good lawyer. Beatrice's room looks exactly the same as the other room from the university. What's that about? Let's go to the storage room, I guess. We entered the storage room, hoping to investigate the air vent that connected to the Duke's study, when we came across a person lying on the floor. What? Wait, Jan? Is that you?
Oh, man. What's with all the noise? I was having such a good nap, too.
Mr. Hughes.
Oh, it's you two.
Why are you taking a nap in the storeroom?
The Kingsguard won't let us leave until they finish investigating the murder, and I spotted Lucio Steelwind in that room with the nice couches. No way am I sleeping anywhere near that guy.
Lucio Steelwind was here? I'm surprised someone like him would attend the Lord's Ball. Anyways, the prosecutor told us you heard the murder from here during the lockdown? Do you think you could tell us what happened?
Sure, why not? My nap's ruined anyway.
You want to look at my runestone?
I feel like we've done this before.
Sorry, did I already show you my runestone at the academy?
I don't know. Probably. You know what they really need to make? A runestone that can instantly clean any surface.
Why would an eternity need a function like that? Jan Hughes, so you're working as a servant now?
Not exactly, but I was a part of the catering staff. The twins started their own food business after Frege threw us out of the academy.
Right. Sorry about that.
Things happen. I'm honestly glad I'm out of that place.
Wait, are Valentina and Valerie here too?
No, they just contracted some stuff to the Duke for the Lord's Ball. I think a bunch of other businesses did the same thing.
I wondered how they felt about this. They lent their services to the very man who got them fired in the first place. William must have offered them a lot of gold. The murder.
Man, I can't believe I got myself pulled into another murder investigation. Do I have bad luck or what?
The prosecutor told us that you heard the altercation through the air vents. Could you tell us exactly what you heard?
Well, I didn't hear everything. I was taking a nap in this room when it happened.
Why were you napping here?
I had nothing else to do. I accidentally closed the door when the lock was engaged. Before I knew it, I was trapped here. After a while, the sounds of some kind of scuffle were coming through the vents. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard the Duke shout, "Who are you? What do you want?" That went on for a few seconds. Then I heard the sound of someone getting stabbed.
Did you hear the voice of the assailant?
They didn't say anything, but I did hear them. Their voice was really raspy. I think they had a sore throat or something.
Or were they trying to mask their voice? What Jan heard, all right? The storage room. Why did you enter the storage room anyway?
The servants were complaining about rats running through the air vents, so they sent me to take care of it. I heard one of them running in the vents upstairs. I followed it here. I figured it had nowhere else to go, so I opened it up and put a trap down. After I was done, I tried to leave, but the door was locked. So, I took a nap.
Okay. He only heard a few words before the murderer struck the final blow. It was a small piece, but a piece nonetheless. Either way, it was time to move somewhere else. Beatrice's room, I guess. Come on, okay. I'm gonna take my quick break, and then we're gonna continue. I'll be right back.
All right. So, hang on. Somebody said, "Come on, Tracker, where are you?" And then Tyrion Cuthbert says, "Achoo!" As I entered Beatrice's room, I was assaulted by a large cloud of dust. Some of it got in my eyes. Oh? As my vision cleared up, I realized that there was someone else in the room with us. Oh, Waif. Sorry, I didn't mean to barge in. No, there's no need to apologize. Hello, fellow blonde. Good. You're the best looking guy here. I really didn't need to be reminded about that right now. Hi. I'm really sorry for leaving so abruptly like that. No, I understand. My eyes wandered around the room. I felt really awkward for some reason. It was probably for the best anyway. I had no idea what I was doing out there. No, you were fine. My feet still hurt. Oh no. I'm sure with enough practice, you'll get the hang of it. I'd love to dance with you again. Most of the men who approach me during the ball seem to think too highly of themselves. I much prefer your company. Well, that will have to wait. We're here on behalf of the Crown Prince to investigate what happened. Right. We're wondering if we could ask you some questions. Her posture became tense, which was to be expected, given the circumstances. Of course, I'd be happy to help. Oh, a psychological profile, eh? Well, let's talk about my runestone. It's a runestone. It's an attorney's runestone. It proves that I'm a certified attorney. Yes, I'm quite familiar with them. They're truly a feat of artificery. Miriam has one for her studies. She's always so engrossed in it whenever she visits. She never talks to me.
Let's see. Armbands. Tell me about this. No. What about the Sword of Spell Eating? No? You have no opinions on that? That's too bad. Herald's insecurity? No. The Beatrice's blindness. I'm sure Beatrice's return must have been surprising for you. It is. To be honest, I've been hoping for years that she'd finally return. But now that she has, she's just gotten pulled into another one of our family's messes. Alright. Celeste's missing sword. No. What about the autopsy report? That man, he was my father. But I can't say I have fond memories of him. He must have been difficult to deal with. You have no idea. He was cruel, tyrannical, and only ever cared about his own legacy. He was willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to maintain his power and status, including his own daughters. Sounds like his treatment of Beatrice was particularly harsh. It was. He never saw her as a worthy successor to our family's legacy simply because she was a woman. Even after her accident, he used her disability as an excuse to strip her of any power she had left. I can only imagine how difficult that must have been for all of you. It's been a constant struggle, but we managed to survive. As bad as it sounds, now that he's gone, we might have a chance to rebuild our family. Okay. The murder weapon. What can you tell me about this? No, she doesn't know anything about it. What about the lockdown system? No. The manor? Oh, okay. I haven't looked at this yet. So the ballroom, the storage, sitting room, coat room, or study, right there. Kitchen, pantry, bathroom. What about floor 2? Bedroom, bath, okay, got it. And the gallery. Beatrice's story. Alright, now. Leif's testimony. Wait, she has nothing to say about her own testimony? What about what Jan heard? The rats in the vents. It's my favorite Lovecraft story. What about... No. People. Can we talk about Harold Haraldson? Because he's an interesting fella. Eugene Haraldson. No. Arya? Aster? Come on, we gotta build this profile up somehow, guys. We doesn't want to say anything about herself? Jan Hughes? I don't know. Somebody? Somebody? Anybody? What about Miriam? What is your relationship with Miriam? My youngest sister? I actually don't see her that much. Really? Even though you're sisters? Our lives as nobles keep us very busy. We rarely have the chance to speak with each other. And ever since Beatrice fled the estate, she's been throwing herself into her schoolwork. Alright, good. What about William Frege? Man. June. Okay, we already talked about William Frege. Anything about the anti-magic field? No? Or familial bond? Do you have a familiar? No? The lockdown system? Tell us things, please. No. Autopsy report gets us the same thing. Ruby Tamora? No. What about me? I've heard of you. You're that defense attorney that everyone is talking about. Wow. I didn't expect you to know who I was. Yes, many nobles are uneasy due to your recent actions. It's very clear that no one is safe from you. Oh. That's, I don't know. Am I the boogeyman now? Of the nobility? What did you see? Steelwind told us that you were the last person to see William Frege that night. Did you notice anything unusual about your father's behavior? Well, he was extremely upset. I think Beatrice may have offended him during their meeting. The servant said that he demanded to be left alone. He retreated into his study immediately after Beatrice left. I tried to speak with him when the theft was reported, but he didn't have much care about the missing artifact. He told me to leave him alone and let the Kingsguard investigate the sword. He was probably busy making the changes to his will. Now that was an interesting thought. When did you speak with him last? It was before they activated the lockdown. It was a little after 1 a.m. that night. Okay. Yeah, he was adjusting his will. And do you have any idea what he was doing in his study? What? No, I have no idea. Leif, is there something you're not telling us? It's important for us to know about your father's actions that night. I'm sorry, I don't know anything else. My father didn't share much with anyone, even his own family. I wish I could be more help, but I really don't know anything else. I refuse to believe that's why he was killed. She was clearly holding something back. If I could reveal what she's hiding through an argument, she might be willing to cooperate. But I need more information about William and his will first. Beatrice's room. This room is really dusty. Why hasn't anyone cleared it? I've forbidden the servants from cleaning this room. Beatrice is very dear to me, and I couldn't bear to have her room disturbed after she left. This room was the only memory I had of her. She must have been holding on to the hope that her sister would return. That must have been 5 really long years. And what about the Sword of Spell Eating? Do you know how it ended up in this room? I'm not sure. Perhaps they knew that the servants were ordered never to enter this room. It's even possible someone planted it here to frame Beatrice. Ah. William, what can you tell me about your father? My father was a complicated man. He was a brilliant aristocrat and businessman, but he was cold and distant father. I see. Did he have any enemies? As the head of House Frege, he controlled every banking house in Weirengard. There were many people who resented his wealth and power. Wealth, fame, power. Only one man. There once was a man named William Frege, and he was king of the Pillars. Before they hung him from the letter opener, these were the final words he said. There were many people who resented his wealth and power. Can you remember anyone specific? Perhaps someone that he'd slightly slighted recently? There was Lloyd von Sanctus. The ruling lord of Arano? Yes, I'm sure you remember him. His reputation plummeted after Draken's trial. My father took that as an opportunity to slowly take control of von Sanctus Industries. From what I've heard, he has been extremely bitter about that. With things as tense as they were, I doubted that he'd get himself involved in another murder. But I could never be too sure. No one spotted a cat walking around the Lord's Ball, did they? No, I am certain there weren't any cats present. She was oddly confident about that. Either way, it sounded like I would have to speak with him and get more details. But I really doubted that he'd even consider cooperating with me. Yeah, probably not. What can you tell me about Beatrice Frege? I heard that she fled the Frege estate 5 years ago. Before she left, Beatrice was one of the most powerful mages I'd ever seen. She is incredible. At the age of 13, her talent for magic had even eclipsed my father's. But it was never enough for him. What do you mean? Before my mother died, he desperately wanted a son, but he only ever had daughters. But Beatrice was just as sharp as he was. She knew which threads to pull to get the results that she wanted, just like my father. Everyone thought that Beatrice would inevitably become the head of House Frege. But our family knew the truth. No matter how hard Beatrice tried, my father would never acknowledge her accomplishments. He was extremely cruel to her. He constantly belittled her achievements and dismissed anything she said to him. And after the accident, he used her disability as an excuse to take away everything she had built for herself. Okay. The accident. If it's not too painful for you, could you tell me about Beatrice's accident? Is this even relevant to the investigation? Any small detail could make a difference. I need to learn everything I can. I'm not sure about exactly what happened, but it was a magical experiment gone wrong. Beatrice was working on a project at the Imperial Academy. She was trying to create a new spell formula. We're still not sure what happened, but there was an adverse magical reaction. The resulting explosion seriously injured her and left her completely blind. I can't imagine how she must have taken that. Actually, she was probably the most unfazed by what happened. Even on that hospital bed, she was still thinking of ways how to move forward. She was always calculating like that. She keeps talking about her in the past tense. That's weird. But that didn't matter. My father saw his opportunity. He told me that he was relieving her of her duties so that she could recover. But I knew the truth. He was going to take away her political power and social standing. He wanted to reduce her to a mere decoration for our home, just like he'd done to every other woman in the family. And that must have been why she left. Did she contact you during the time that she was missing? No. No one had heard from her during that time. But as much as I was worried for her, I was also a little happy. Unlike Miriam and I, she had finally broken free from my father. Alright. Well, we have a full psychological profile now. Ugh, what's wrong? The entire room is covered in traces of abjuration magic. Everything is glowing white. Right. That makes sense. There were several anti-magic fields covering the manor. These fields probably left traces of abjuration everywhere. I won't bother showing you the traces of abjuration I find while we're here.
Repario Arcanum!
What? There's a trace of transmutation magic under the bed. I can't see it clearly. Let me take a closer look. It's Crimson Lotus! What? It's my sword! What? I never knew her sword had a name. So this is where it's been. But why was it in Beatrice's room? She reached out to take it, but I blocked her hand. This was the room where they found the sword of spell eating. It's likely that the two thefts are related. But why? The only thing similar about them is that they're both swords. I know, but this could still be part of the crime scene. We shouldn't disturb it. But I'll talk to Steelwind. She can send some knights to guard it. Okay, fine. There was definitely more to this, but what? Yeah. Why is Celeste's sword here? You can even kind of see it. That's interesting. It's a highly extravagant bed. It looks similar to the one in Miriam's dorm at the Imperial Academy. It's a dresser covered in a layer of dust. It doesn't look like it's been touched in years. It's a table for guests, but like everything else, it's extremely dusty. Is there any other detect magic? No? Okay. Alright, that's it. I learned everything I could for now. It's time to move elsewhere. Really? Okay. The sitting room, I guess? What about the gallery? Sitting room first. I explored the manor further and found one of its many sitting rooms. And there I spotted a very familiar face. Oh no. He was sipping on a glass of wine, and his indifferent expression turned into a sneer the moment I entered the room. Oh, wonderful. As if my day couldn't get any worse. Font Sanctus, what are you doing here? The head of a noble house has just been murdered. I can't very well return to Arno when my affairs are in such disarray. I hear that you've been busy since we last met. It must be difficult losing your empire to House Frege. Tyrion, we do need his testimony. Is that so? What makes you think I'd ever help the likes of you? Because it would take suspicion off of you, and with your reputation, you could probably use all the help you can get. How dare you! I'll have you know that I am still a respected member of the nobility. Respected? Is that why the papers keep talking about your plot to blow up Arno? Because the way I see it, being involved in another scandal would destroy what's left of your reputation. But it makes no difference to me. To be perfectly honest, I'd like nothing more than to drag you out onto the stand and embarrass you a third time. All he could do was grumble under his breath. Very well. If it means I won't have to suffer your presence any longer, I'll oblige and answer your questions. All right. Even his cat thinks she's above him. Yeah, poor guy. What about this? It's a painting of some adventurers in a tavern. Ah, this must be Beatrice Frege the First. The first.
According to legend, she was one of the descendants of the 7 heroes of Weirengard. She joined a band of adventurers who were traveling across the nation. It was difficult to imagine the Fregas coming from such humble beginnings. What?
Wait, what?
What is it now?
That muscular man in the corner, he just vanished.
What are you on about? There was never a man there.
He's right. No, I'm sure he was there. Are you feeling okay? Maybe I was just seeing things. I really needed to sleep.
Preparing Arcanum.
Nothing? Okay. There's a window with a view of the outside. It's a chair, made from mahogany. Every part of this house just exudes wealth. Wealth that's been siphoned out of the common folk. It's a shelf filled with books. Fake books, they're completely blank. Oh boy. It's a door that leads to the coat room. Okay. That's all we can look at, I guess. Why did the muscular guy disappear? I ask that all the time. But why? Why is he gone? Oh, yeah, it's perfectly normal to imagine seeing muscular men in places. Yeah, exactly, right? I'm just like, oh, hello, muscular man. Why are you here? And then why suddenly are you gone? What's going on, muscular man? Hello there, muscular man. All right, let's go talk. Actually, you know what? Look at my rune stone, you jerk. Why do you always show this thing to me? To let you know there will always be people willing to stand up to you. You know Von Sanctus Industries manufactures those rune stones, don't you? What? The kingdom distributes those to practicing attorneys. Where did you think they came from? My world had just been shattered. Don't let him get to you, Tyrion. But my rune stone proves that you're a certified attorney. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It matters how you use it. I guess you're right. All right. Let's talk about your motive. Honestly, it's just one mess after another with you. Mess? Wouldn't you have a lot to gain from William Frega's death? If only one viewed things superficially, you might be right. But it's far more complicated than that. House Frege controls the banking houses. They are the main pillar of support for Weirengard's economy. William's death could have unimaginable economic consequences regardless of who inherits his house. I wouldn't be foolish enough to do something like that. That remains to be seen. Think what you will. There are others who would benefit from William Frege's death. Main suspect. You mentioned that other people would benefit from Frege's death. Who specifically? If I had to venture a guess, I would say Lucio Steelwind benefits the most. But you just said that the Duke's death could have unimaginable consequences for the economy. Ha! Do you think that brute cares about Weirengard's economy? No. All that man cares about is power. Pure and physical power. House Steelwind and House Frege have been fighting for control of Weirengard for generations. In this long-lasting era of peace, the Steelwind's military has become far less valuable to the crown. The only thing House Steelwind has done was completely mishandle these recent insurrections. If it weren't for Lady Steelwind's engagement to the Crown Prince, they might not even be considered a pillar family. The death of William Frege is probably exactly what Lucio Steelwind has been waiting for. That was definitely in line with what I'd heard about the Grand General. It wasn't as if he were a stranger to murder either. Could this been another one of his assassinations? Not to mention, if our economy were to suffer, it would slowly create civil unrest. In a scenario like that, the Crown would have to rely on Steelwind's forces to maintain order. And I'm sure you can imagine how that might turn out. True. It's clear that you think Lucio Steelwind would have much to gain from this, but can you think of anyone else? Well, there is Harold Haraldson. That can't be his real name. But what would Mr. Haraldson gain from Frege's death? From what I've heard, William was planning to defund the Haraldson Hall of History. Really? Why would he do that? I'm not sure of the specifics. Supposedly, Lord Haraldson has refused to omit the less flattering parts of Weirengard's history from his exhibits. It's gotten blatant enough that he's drawn the ire of the king himself.
They actually got into a very heated argument during the Lord's Ball about it. I heard that William declared that he would be removing House Haroldson from his estate. I didn't want to suspect Mr. Haroldson, but I needed to examine every possibility. He had the easiest access to the sort of spell eating, and he could have staged a robbery to cover his tracks. True. Beatrice Frege. What can you tell me about the defendant in this case? What? She's your client? Surely you would know her better than I. Humor me. Well, I'm sure you're aware that she fled the Frege estate 5 years ago. In doing so, she dealt a blow to House Frege's reputation and directly insulted the Crown Prince by breaking her engagement to him. It was quite the scandal at the time, and Lucio wasted no time in pushing his daughter into taking Beatrice's place. Honestly, this situation is just an absolute mess, and that woman's return will complicate things. Beatrice's return would complicate things? What did he mean by that? Do you find Beatrice's return to be inconvenient for you? What do you want about now? Please don't insult my intelligence, Von Sanctus. Fine. If you must know, my son was arranged to marry William's daughter, Leif. Leif? Since Beatrice showed no signs of returning, it was apparent that Leif would inherit House Frege instead of her. I know when my days are numbered, so I took preemptive action. William wanted a male heir, and I needed to preserve my house. So we both came to an accord. My son and Leif were arranged to be wed. House Von Sanctus would have been absorbed, but at least my Jaden would stand at the helm. You nobles are absolutely awful. I should consider myself lucky I was abandoned. Think what you will. I wouldn't expect a commoner to understand. That's the problem with your generation. You have no sense of duty or obligation. Leif has already expressed resistance to this marriage, even though she was well aware of the details. Now I worry she'll hide behind her sister to end the engagement altogether. Leif's engagement. All right. Leif Frege was due to be married to Jaden Von Sanctus. This arranged marriage was facilitated by William Frege and Lloyd Von Sanctus. As part of this diplomatic marriage, House Von Sanctus would be absorbed by House Frege. In return, Jaden would inherit the entirety of House Frege from William. Leif knew how this marriage would affect the future of House Frege. She has expressed resistance to the diplomatic marriage and has been stalling for time. Lloyd Von Sanctus worries that William Frege's death could cancel the marriage altogether. Leif never mentioned any of this. As much as I hated to think it, William's death could have gotten her out of the arranged marriage. I needed to talk to her about this. Von Sanctus gave us a decent list of suspects. I probably learned everything I could from him for now. It's best to move and follow new leads. The gallery. Alright. We returned to the gallery and saw a legion of knights inspecting the crime scene of their theft. I didn't see Mr. Haroldson anywhere. The Inquisition must have still been questioning him. The display case that held the armbands of intellect is empty. That case is shattered. The thief was able to do this despite there being several abjuration spells protecting it. The display case holding the earrings of vitality is completely untouched. Whoever stole the artifacts ignored it. Pending of a researcher. Supposedly his name was Professor Matt Ferland. He was a professor of combinatorial magic theory. What is that? I have no idea. It's a painting of some sort of scientist. Supposedly his name is Dr. Luke Kupfer. He was an alchemist and inventor from the nation of Arcaris. He was well known for his studies into imbuing intelligence into automatons. Intelligent automatons like arcane constructs? Von Sanctus was importing a bunch of them from Arcaris for his plans in Orono. The technology for those constructs was probably invented there. Alright, so let me see.
Arcanum!
Oh. There are traces of evocation magic on the shattered glass. Evocation is the school of magic that creates and unleashes raw energy. It's the most primal of the 7 schools of magic. Someone must have used a powerful spell to blast the display case apart. Alright. That's good to know. Very good to know. Alright. I think it's time to go talk to her again. Yes, what was William doing? Let's save first. It has been a while. And that one time my computer froze. I don't want to have that happen again. What was William doing? Leif was hiding what her father was doing in his study. I doubted that she was doing this for any nefarious reasons. She might not even think that it's relevant to the case. But William Frege had many enemies, and he retreated into his study to do something that night. And that something could be related to why he was murdered. Let's start an argument! Right, hang on. Leif Frege doesn't know you very well, and she has no reason to trust you. She believes in Beatrice's innocence over anything else. She's usually sincere, so it's unlikely that she is actually involved in her father's murder. She might react well if you respond with similar sincerity. Alright. Is there something you're not telling us, Leif? Because I have a feeling that you know more than you're letting on. What? What was your father doing in his study? I already told you. I don't know. I have no idea what my father was doing. My father was a private man. He wouldn't share anything like that with me. Present... her engagement. No, her thing about the will. He was making some sort of change to his will, wasn't he? What? Did someone else tell him? Why did you find the need to hide this from us? I didn't. The thoughts I saw earlier seem to disagree with that. We've only just met, so I understand why if you don't trust us. But the Inquisition thinks that Beatrice murdered your father, and they're claiming she did so for his inheritance. That's absolutely absurd. Regardless, your father's inheritance was probably the motive behind his murder. Which means that a lot of people would have a lot to gain from his death, including you. What? What was she doing? Excuse me? I was not involved in this. No, it's jealous women. How could you even think that I'd be capable of something like this? You were the last person. Rationalize. Threaten. Shy away. The prosecution clearly won't shy away from prosecuting members of your family. If your sister is truly innocent, where do you think they'll turn their attention next? You. I didn't mean to imply you involved. It's clear that the murderer's motive was to take control. Doubt. Threaten. It doesn't matter what I think. The prosecution clearly won't shy away from prosecuting members of your family. You were the last person to see your father alive. So if your sister is truly innocent, where do you think they'll turn their attention to next? Please, do you think I'll respond to such empty threats? I have cooperated with the Inquisition. I have nothing to hide. Alright, that didn't work. Rationalize? We didn't mean to imply that you were involved in this, but it's clear that the murderer's motive was to take control of House Frege. This means that their plan heavily relied on who William Frege was leaving his assets to. So I need to know, Miss Frege, how was your father planning to change his will? I don't know. I was never aware of the details of my father's will. I already told you, my father was a secretive man. He didn't share the details of his estate with me. No, what about the engagement? Is that really true, though? What? I already know about your arranged marriage to Jaden von Sanctus. And I also know that as a part of this deal, Jaden would inherit House Frege instead of you. Yeah. You definitely knew about this, and you heavily resisted the marriage in an attempt to stall it. Which means that you had some idea of how your father's will was arranged. So what aren't you telling me, Leif? I can't trust you. Oh. What? You are here on behalf of Crown Prince Aster, and you're a known dissident. You, the other Pillar families, and the Crown have much to gain from my father's death. How can you assure me that this information won't be used against my family? So that's why she was being so secretive. Yeah.
appeal? Only trying to find out who murdered your father. One or the other. I've been hired by, but I have no stake. Appeal. There's nothing I could possibly say to make you trust me, but please understand. I'm only trying to find out who murdered your father. To do that, I need to know what kind of changes he was making to his will. It's likely that whoever did this wanted to prevent those changes. Oh, good, we got it. I have no reason to trust you, but somehow I can tell that you're being sincere. That's kind of what I literally just said. Will you really protect Beatrice? Reassuring her would be the best course of action, but something in the back of my mind stopped me. I'll get to the truth of what really happened, no matter what it is. Okay, if that's truly what you're planning to do, I'll tell you what I know. What was William doing? I wasn't trying to be difficult, but I didn't know who I could trust. Considering the circumstances, that's perfectly understandable. I'm not sure why, but my father was extremely upset that night. According to him, Beatrice had returned, and in his words, she was even more impudent than before. Did he tell you what their meeting was about? He didn't, and I honestly didn't really care. I was just so happy that my sister had finally returned. My father clearly felt otherwise. Before he entered his study, he told me that he would be pruning the family tree. He said he was going to draft a will to disinherit my sister and several other members of our family. Several other members, eh? Okay. Beatrice, she was arranged a meeting. Okay. Has anyone found the draft of this will? No, it was one of the first things I looked for after the investigation began. The modified will was missing? I doubted that it would be enforced. He never got a chance to submit it for probate before he died. But I couldn't discount the possibility that the murderer destroyed it. Does anyone else know about this? No one. I didn't even tell Lady Steelwind when she was questioning me. Because it would have established a motive for Beatrice. Anyways, thank you, Liv. Tyrion. Yes? My sister isn't a bad person. She would never do something like this. I know. But she's in good hands. Ruby Tamora is the one defending her in the trial, after all. Okay. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. Maybe a muscular man took the will. Yes! A muscular man came and took it. Oh, those muscular men. Muscular men could be here, he thought. I think I'd learned everything I could from Leif. There was only one person left to speak with. Harold Haraldson. Is he in the gallery? This is a complete mess. As we entered the gallery, we spotted Lord Haraldson. He was inspecting the shattered remnants of the display case. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. He's working for the Crown Prince. Can he be trusted? It seemed that word had spread about my deal with Astor. I'm glad you seem to be doing better. Wait, what happened? It's a long story. I'll tell you later. Not that I could explain exactly what had happened. Anyways, Mr. Haraldson, could we... Harold. Right, Harold. I'm sure you already know that I'm investigating the murder of William Frege. The prosecution suspects that someone used the Sword of Spell-Eating to break into the Duke's room. I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the theft last night. I'll tell you what I can, but I'm not sure how much help I'll be. The artifacts. I can't believe a museum owns a magic item like this. I would have expected the noble houses to take them for themselves. The nobility of today doesn't have much use for items such as these. The power of a lord is based on politics rather than magical strength nowadays. And a noble wouldn't want to wield the sword of a demon, even if the legends are just stories. A demon? All right. The Sword of Spell-Eating is said to have been forged from a pact between a demon and a mage. Isn't making a deal with a demon just asking for trouble? They'd definitely betray you the first chance they got. Legends say that demons often drafted blood contracts for this reason. Would that be similar to a legally binding contract? The concept is similar, but once you sign a blood contract, both you and the demon are magically compelled to fulfill its terms. It's said that violating its terms will result in instant death for the offender, no matter who they are. Huh.
So I guess there's some protection. Well, as an attorney, I'm sure you understand that it's possible to exploit and use loopholes in any contract. And according to the legends, demons take great pride in their ability to deceive and corrupt people. Although I'm sure you already know that, Mr. Cuthbert. Wait, what did he mean by that? Yeah, that's weird. The theft. According to the prosecution, the theft took place during the Lord's Ball. Shouldn't there have been plenty of witnesses in the gallery at that time? That's the strangest thing. Supposedly, the gallery room was completely empty when it happened. What? That can't be right. And honestly, I have no idea how anyone could produce enough magic to shatter the display case anyway. Were the wards protecting the case that powerful? They were powerful, but that's not the issue here. It would be one thing to dispel the wards and remove the glass protecting it. But it's another thing to shatter the glass while the wards were active. Doing something like that would require an extremely powerful spell. Far more powerful than simply dispelling it. Okay. The Sword of Spell Eating. Let's see, on the night, someone used a powerful spell to completely shatter the magically protected glass that was containing it. It was later found in Beatrice Frega's old room. Yeah. But something about the readings on the lock console was strange. It's as if the protective magic had been completely nullified, but that shouldn't have been possible. The locks are designed to be immune to anti-magic fields. The only thing that could bypass it was the Sword of Spell Eating itself, and it only works when being held by someone. But if they had access to the sword already, they wouldn't have needed to break the display case. I think it's more likely that someone used an extremely powerful spell. Probably. But the Sword of Spell Eating wasn't the only item that was stolen either. What? Was another artifact stolen that night? Oh, the intellect. You mentioned that another item was stolen. Yes, it's extremely concerning. After the Sword of Spell Eating was reported missing, I checked the other exhibits. That's when I discovered that the armbands of intellect had been stolen as well. And unlike the Sword of Spell Eating, we still haven't found the armbands. I looked at the glass case where the armbands used to be. They'd been removed, but the glass case was completely intact. The thief didn't shatter the glass. Moreover, the armbands were actually replaced with a very well-made replica. What? Ooh, a replica. What was going on here? The two thefts were completely different from one another. So someone wanted to be really smart? The thief. You mentioned that someone would need a powerful spell to shatter the display case. Wouldn't that narrow down the list of suspects for the theft? Not everyone attending the ball could cast spells that powerful. Well, according to the Inquisition, Beatrice Frega's magic was powerful enough to have done this, discounting the fact that she's completely blind. Yes, I'm well aware of that. It doesn't sit quite right with me either. Was there anyone else at the Lord's Ball capable of matching Beatrice's power? Only the heads of the four pillars could have invoked magic this powerful. But apparently, Beatrice is an exception to that. Was Beatrice really that powerful? Or was she being framed by one of the house leaders? But the cases can be opened normally, can't they? Ah, yes, the magical lock can be disabled. No thoughts, just he's afraid. I detected some fear. Was he hiding something? How are they normally disabled? They can be turned on and off using a spoken password. And how many people know this password? Only myself. I personally oversee the transport of these items when they're moved. Heralds and security. All right. Using a spoken password. Got it. So Harold could have stolen the sword that night. Could he have staged the robbery to cover his tracks? I don't know. I don't see his motive yet. Well, yeah, let's talk about this. Harold, a witness told us that you got into an argument with William Frege on the night of the murder. Was William Frege planning on defunding the Haraldson Hall of History? Yes, he was. But that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with his murder. Did your argument that night turn hostile? I'll admit that our discussion turned heated, but it never escalated to threats of violence. With how insulting he was, it should have. William was being unreasonable, and I was frustrated. That's all there was to it. He deserved what happened to him. Did you have any conflicts with him prior to that night? We have had disagreements in the past. he was receiving pressure from the crown about what I was displaying in my museum. The king believed that some of my exhibits were too controversial for the public eye. What do you mean? I'm sure you've noticed the rising tensions between the common folk and the nobility as of late. I've never been one to shy away from the bloodier parts of Weirengard's history. The citizens must know about these parts of history, otherwise we're liable to repeat them. Already seeing what happened with Grand General Steelwind and these insurrections in the countryside. Nothing but brutish simpletons, the lot of them. It was clear that Harold was passionate about his work. Would that passion have driven him far enough to commit murder, though? So many people had a motive to murder William Frege, but who actually did it? I took some time to review everything that I already learned. Motives aside, let's go over the events that happened that night. It all started when the Sword of Spell Eating was stolen. What do we know about the thief of the sword? Well, let's see. We don't have a specific suspect. We do know something about them. What do we know? Oh, the thief's a powerful magic user.
Maybe.
The thief has powerful magic. Yeah. Yeah, we know that. The thief has powerful magic. Magic strong enough to bypass the abjurative wards entirely. But what about Harold? He could have just unlocked it using his password. He could have stolen the sword and staged a robbery, but he couldn't have shattered the glass. Only a powerful mage could have done that. And I doubt Harold would lie about that, and we could easily confirm it with Steelwind. Right, but then what happened next? They brazenly stole the Sword of Spell Eating. This caused Harold to report the theft to the Kingsguard. Right, and that's what she said. It was eventually found in Beatrice's bedroom. Yeah. And then there's Leif's statement. She said Beatrice offended her, treated to a study. It didn't, yeah, she's the last person to see him after 1 a.m. What does this tell us about William Frege's death? Leif's account gives us a clear fact about when William died.
What?
William died after the theft was reported. No? Leif, the Book of the Duke. The time of death was after this encounter. It's unlikely that Leif saw someone else disguised as her father. It had to have been him. After... Let's see. William died at the moment the lockdown activated? No. Let's see. William died at the moment... Let's see. After... the theft was reported? No. Before the theft was reported? No, this one kind of confuses me, I guess. I'm gonna try. And unlike... I saw someone else. At the moment...
Maybe.
the lockdown was lifted? No. After the lockdown was lifted? Yeah, okay, after the lockdown was activated. Alright. William Frege was murdered after the lockdown was activated. This means that whoever killed him bypassed the lockdown and broke into the magically locked room. They had to have used the sword, right? Yeah, most magical locks are immune to anti-magic field, otherwise the lockdown would have just disabled the locks. The Sword of Spell Eating must function differently if it produced that effect. That's still not concrete evidence, though. And we still haven't spoken to all of the suspects yet. Right. I never got a chance to speak with Lucio Steelwind. True. But given his status, I wondered if that would even be possible. Either way, it's a good start. And it's not as if we're defending this case. Trial's getting close anyway. I didn't doubt Miss Tamora's abilities, but I still could compare notes with her before the trial began. It was a little strange that I hadn't seen her since the investigation started. Maybe she was meeting with Beatrice at the dungeons. The dungeons. Let's go. I read to the dungeons to search for Miss Tamora. She wasn't at Frege Manor, so she must have been here to discuss the case with Beatrice. Or at least that's what I thought. I didn't see her anywhere here, too.
I didn't expect to see you here.
Celeste let out a shriek as Eris approached the two of us from behind. She really had a habit of doing that. I was starting to wonder if she was doing that on purpose. Eris, what are you doing here?
Beatrice is actually an acquaintance of my father. He sent me here to help her through this ordeal.
That brought up so many questions, but I didn't really have the time to pull on that thread. There was less than an hour before the trial began. I needed to find Miss Tamura. Have you seen Miss Tamura anywhere? I need to talk to her.
She was just here, but she left to retrieve some documents from her office.
Do you have an idea when she'll be back?
She didn't say, but I can pass a message on to her.
I'm sorry. It's related to Beatrice's case.
In that case, why don't you leave a message with Beatrice herself? She is the defendant in this case.
I felt a little hesitant, but it was Beatrice's life on the line. If anyone should know about what I found, it's her. Okay, let's go find her. I followed Eris's lead as she led us to Beatrice's cell. Once we found her, she left the dungeons to give us some privacy. I spent some time going through my findings with Beatrice, from the list of suspects to the possible motives behind the murder. I noticed that with each revelation, she became more uneasy. The idea of someone framing her must have been stressing her out.
I see. You've certainly been very thorough.
Yes, but I still have no concrete evidence that points to anyone.
If he reveals these findings to Prince Aster, he might suspect something.
She's angry and afraid. What?
Sorry, I was just thinking. And I was able to catch one of those thoughts.
Beatrice, I'm sure you're aware that Prince Aster has your best interests at heart.
I know. Even though we haven't spoken for the last 5 years, I still consider him a close friend.
Then I suppose you have no issue with me sharing these findings with him.
Of course not. This is bad. Even he wouldn't support us if he knew that I was involved.
What? She was actually involved in this?
Is something wrong, Mr. Cuthbert?
Beatrice was actually behind this? But how? She's completely blind. She couldn't have navigated through the manor and avoided the guards. Arya did say that she was intelligent, but doing all this while blind was ludicrous. No. I must have been taking her thoughts out of context.
Mr. Cuthbert, perhaps you should get some rest.
I thought very carefully about what to say next. There was one way to get a certain answer to the eye, but if I was wrong... Beatrice, you weren't actually involved in this, were you? Tyrion? Her gaze narrowed in response to my question. Once again, she clapped her hands together.
Do you suspect me now, Mr. Cuthbert?
You didn't answer my question, Beatrice.
As if I'd even need to justify it with a response. But no. I was not Mr. Cuthbert. I was not responsible for my father's murder. I might as well have been. Legally, I was more of an accomplice.
An accomplice? Someone else was involved in this. Oh boy. Quite the hypothetical that we got there from Arya. Huh.
Cuthbert?
Miss Tamura! My mentor seemed to have sensed the mood in the air. She raised her brow at me. Miss Tamura, can I speak with you alone for a second?
Okay. What's wrong? Is everything okay?
Miss Tamura, Beatrice, she actually did murder William Frege. Miss Tamura's lips pursed. Her eyes darted around the room to make sure the guards didn't overhear us.
What are you talking about? How could you possibly know that?
I saw it with the eye of Horus. She conspired with someone else to orchestrate William Frege's death.
Have you told anyone else about this?
No, it's not as if they'd believe me anyway. You're the only other person who knows about my abilities.
Okay. We'll talk about this later. I need to get ready. The trial starts in half an hour.
What? You're not seriously going to defend her, are you?
Of course I am. I'm her attorney.
But she's guilty. I saw it.
Look, at this point, I don't know what you saw. Do you think I can just abandon a client minutes before a trial? No, but it's not for either of us to decide who's guilty and who's not. Everyone has a right to an attorney. More importantly, you had no right to use the Eye of Horus on my client. I don't have time to argue about this. We will be talking about this later. Before I had a chance to respond, Miss Tamura walked away. Celeste had given us some privacy, but she'd definitely inferred the tone of our conversation. Is everything okay? Celeste, I think Beatrice was actually behind this. What? I couldn't blame her for not believing me. It's not as if I could tell her about the Eye of Horus. Although, why hadn't I told her? Alright, so what do you want to do now? What? You wouldn't say something like that if you weren't sure, right? I thought long and hard for a moment. Maybe we don't need to do anything. What? The Steelwind is handling the prosecution, and she's far from being a pushover. If Beatrice is truly guilty, we'll just have to trust her to get the job done. Either way, I don't think we're in any position to get involved. All right, if you say so. It really was none of my business. I had no stake in this. I wasn't obligated to do anything. I'd done everything I could. We'd just have to leave it in Steelwind's hands. Oh no, yeah. It was none of my business. William Frege was a tyrant anyway. He was a noble who did nothing but steal wealth from the common folk. The world was better off without him, and it's not as if any of this was my responsibility. Miss Tamura must have been doing this for a reason. All I had to do was wait for the trial to run its course so we could put all this behind us.
Objection! Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet. Mr. Cuthbert! Cuthbert, what the hell are you doing? I don't know. But what I do know is there was a massive contradiction in Miriam Frege's testimony. Who was I kidding? As if I'd stand by and do nothing. So here we are, we're up to the present. Your Honor, the defense, the prosecution. I would like the right to cross-examine this witness. Bailiff, arrest Mr. Cuthbert. I am holding him in contempt. Oh, wait! I didn't really think this through, did I? Hey, look. You can just teleport behind the prosecution's desk. It's fine, okay? Listen, if you feel like you want to be the prosecutor, you just be the prosecutor. That's just how it works. Instead of following his order, the bailiff walked over to the judge's podium and whispered something into his ear. What? I see. Very well, then. What were they saying? It appears that Miss Steelwind has somehow predicted that this would happen. Of course. In accordance with her wishes, Mr. Cuthbert may act as the prosecutor in her stead. This is Kino. This case is Kino. I love it. What? Yeah, Lucio can just show up and do things. Why not? Why can't we do it? The paperwork was submitted shortly before the trial. Mr. Cuthbert is designated as her stand-in. It's unorthodox, but it's not without precedent. I remembered what Steelwind asked me something strange earlier. Right. The guilty client. Yeah. Steelwind. Did she somehow know this would happen? Well, this isn't how I expected the trial to go. Shortly after I barged onto the prosecutor's table, Celeste awkwardly followed behind me. Curiously, she only did so after the bailiff didn't arrest me. I guess we're really doing this. What's wrong? This feels weird. We're on the other side of the courtroom. This is where the prosecutor is supposed to stand. No, I don't like this. Ruby, can we switch tables? What? Your Honor, please ignore her. No, this is way too weird. Tyrion, file a motion. Get her to switch with us. Celeste. For the love of... I genuinely don't care. Cuthbert can have this side if he wants it so badly. With that out of the way, let's resume proceedings. Assuming that we're all at our preferred spots. You are, Your Honor. As much as I hated to admit it, I was more comfortable here. What's wrong? Yeah, Ruby, didn't Orem give you the updated prosecutor roster report? Yeah. Salary cutting noises. Not that I wanted to encourage her to do this again. With all of these interruptions, I think it best to review the proceedings up until now. The prosecution proposed that Beatrice Vega's motive for the murder was to claim the victim's inheritance. However, the defense brought forth a witness who testified that Beatrice was disinherited by her father 5 years ago. Am I correct, Miss Tamora? You are, Your Honor. Very well. Considering the circumstances, I think it's best to have Lady Frigga repeat her testimony. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frigga to the stand once more. Miss Frigga, could you please give your testimony to the court once more? Of course. After my sister's accident, my father said that she was unfit to inherit our noble house. He declared to our family that he would be removing her from his will. It was 5 years ago, but I remember it well. One day we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure? Yes, he did. As such, Beatrice would have no motive to murder her father. Any inheritance she could have received would be long gone by the night of the murder. Was that really true, though? Yeah. This is so weird and I love it. That seems awfully cruel of him. It was just an accident, wasn't it? My father was always thinking about the broader picture. He just wanted an excuse to punish her. He must have thought that this was for my sister's own good. She probably didn't want to speak ill of her father in the courts, but it seemed that she understood the type of person he was. So he was making a show of it and sending a message to the rest of your family. I felt a little guilty for doing this to her, but I would need to establish Beatrice's motive whenever I could.
Objection!
Oh. Your Honor, I find Cuthbert's comments to be extremely insensitive to the witness. I see no reason for him to speak ill of the deceased. I am compelled to agree. She was using the judge's fear of House Freyga against me. No, of course. You must have been less than 13 years old at that time. I can't imagine how that must have been. But can we really trust your testimony if you were only a child at the time? I remember it vividly. My father's words. The look of absolute fury on my sister's face. Oh, okay. I even remember the way the sun was shining through the window that morning. It was all my fault. I remember everything. It sounded like a painful memory for her, and she seemed to blame herself for what happened. It'd be best not to press her more than necessary. Alright. That must have been a surprise for all of you. Did she tell anyone else about her plan? No, she didn't. She left without a word to anyone. She should have spoken with us first. She seemed to be sincere about that. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name. Okay. From what I've heard about your father, I don't find that surprising. It's clear to everyone involved that my client was not treated well by her father. That's what drove her to leave the Freyga estate. My father had many responsibilities. He had much to consider. And that justified his treatment of your sister. Despite being her witness, Miss Tamora really wasn't holding back against Miriam. I felt like I was watching from the gallery. Part of her testimony didn't match with what I'd learned from my investigation. It must have been something that Leif told me. What did Leif say? Hang on, let's look at this. Just a second. the adjustment, right? I think it's Leif's testimony, not her engagement. Let's see. When I said that she was unfit, removing her. Let's do Leif's testimony at 5 years ago. Objection! No? This piece of evidence. No. He declared he would be removing her from his will. Objection! That's not it either? Huh. Any person randomly treated and locked himself in. Beatrice Vega fled and went into hiding, told her friend's family. Arranged a meeting that didn't end well. Enough for him to declare that he would be disinheriting her that night. What about this? Objection! No? I feel like I have the idea. I just don't know like what specifically to present it on. That's the annoying thing. Objection! No? Like I'm trying to figure out where this is supposed to go, right? Beatrice Vega fled from her family 5 years ago. Many of her friends and family went well. Yeah. We woke up. Objection! Okay, finally. Yeah, I had the right idea. I just needed to figure out like what tchotchke to press on what. It was adventure game. I was just rubbing things on things until something happened, basically. Miss Frege, it's clear that you're regretful about how your eldest sister was treated. That guilt must have eaten at you all after all these years. Cuthbert, I know you don't have a good history with the witness, but you shouldn't rub salt in her wounds. I was just pointing out the witness's personal connections to the defendant, Miss Tamora. She clearly regrets not standing up for her sister all those years ago. So perhaps she's trying to make up for that by lying to protect her. Excuse me, I did nothing of the sort. Miss Frege, you testified that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. However, I have testimony from another witness who spoke with the victim on the night of the murder. After Beatrice's meeting with William Frege, he openly declared that he would be removing her from his will. He even entered the study to draft a new will to reflect that decision. So that raises the following question. Why would the victim need to declare that he was disinheriting the defendant? It doesn't make sense if he had already disinherited her 5 years ago. Is that so? Well, who did you hear this from? It's clear they had no understanding of my father's estate. They had no understanding? Miriam, this testimony came directly from your sister, Leif Frege. Miriam grimaced. She probably didn't think to talk to Leif about this beforehand. And she should have also been present during this alleged meeting 5 years ago. Well, she must be mistaken then.
Objection!
Your Honor, how can we trust secondhand testimony from a witness who isn't here? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Leif give her testimony directly? I must agree with you, Miss Tamora. Leif Frege should be allowed to clear up the misunderstanding. She looked way too confident. What was she planning? I'm not sure if it was intentional, but Miriam's testimony was clearly contradictory. Could she be lying to protect Beatrice? Miss Tamora might be betting that Leif would do the same. Bailiff, please escort Leif Frege to the stand. Leif, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that your father decided to disinherit Beatrice. And he decided this after their meeting on the night of the murder? Is that correct? Yes, I did say that. You see, Leif, Cuthbert doubts the testimony given by your younger sister. He seems to think that she's committed perjury. What? I wouldn't go so far as to say... Witness?
lying under oath is a serious crime. It would have harsh consequences, even for someone of your status. No, she couldn't have. Wonderful. Are you saying that you can corroborate your sister's testimony?
Miss Tamora, you can't just intimidate the witness.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuthbert. I'm just informing the witness of the law. What she does is ultimately her choice. She really was as ruthless as people said she was. I just never expected to have to deal with this myself. So, Leif, assuming Miriam wasn't lying under oath, could you please testify to the court to confirm what your sister said? Yes, of course. You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into a study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways that he kept us in line. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. Despite their disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. Even when she left, he always assumed that she would eventually return home. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future.
Okay.
See, Cuthbert, the truth is much more complicated. No one could have really known what William Frege was planning for his estate. Leif was definitely trying to cover for Miriam, and Miss Tamora was playing her like a fiddle. Luckily for me, she wasn't the only person who gave a statement to me.
Okay. Miriam, okay. So you're saying that Miriam's testimony was based on a misunderstanding?
Yes, my father was never direct with his actions. He's always known just what to say to keep people under control.
Often lie.
I'm aware of how it sounds, but he had much to consider outside of his family. The Fregas are one of the pillars of Weirengard, after all. Keeping the family aligned with our house's goals was one of his responsibilities. But we were his daughters. How could he be so cruel? It's clear she didn't agree with what she's saying. She must also be trying to keep her family's name clean.
Yeah. So you really think that your father would lie about something so important?
It was of great importance. That's why he had to lie. He wanted to make us understand the consequences of disobeying him. What kind of father does that?
But if he truly wanted to scare all of you, why wouldn't he disinherit Beatrice?
Yeah, never without a good reason. My father was always more pragmatic than vengeful. I imagine that he expected her to fail on her own, and if she ever came back, she would be forced to admit that she needed him. If he could make someone like Beatrice feel powerless, the rest of us would no doubt fallen into line. Looking back, I suppose that's all we ever were to him. Assets to be appraised and traded.
I heard a bit of resentment in her voice. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future. Hang on a second, what about your engagement?
Objection!
Miss Frege, did you really have no idea about House Frega's future?
No, I didn't. My father made sure of that. As I told you, he kept many secrets and wasn't above lying to us.
But with Beatrice gone, you would have been the one to inherit your father's estate. Would you really be ignorant of your father's plans for House Frege? Unfortunately for you, I don't think you'd be that careless. In fact, I have it on good authority that you knew exactly how William's inheritance would be divided before that night.
What?
Leif, according to Lloyd von Sanctus, you were arranged into a diplomatic marriage with his son. You expressed resistance to this arrangement, am I correct?
I have no reason to comment on that matter. Cuthbert, the witness's personal matters are hardly any of our business.
Yes, I must ask that you keep this discussion relevant to the case. Your Honor, Leif's resistance to this marriage is exactly how I know that her testimony is false. She would make sure to know every detail about how it would affect her and her house. And that includes how House Frege would be inherited by her future husband. So that raises the question, Leif. If you already knew the intricate details of this marriage, why would your father tell you that he was disinheriting your sister? That statement would only make sense if Beatrice was already in his will beforehand. That would render Miriam's testimony false and constitute a motive for the defendant.
Objection!
It's a decent argument, Cuthbert, but it relies on one assumption. And what assumption would that be, Miss Timora? Even if he was lying, the victim declared that he was revoking Beatrice's inheritance. She must have already been named in the will previously. Otherwise, there would have been no need for him to say that. It wouldn't make any sense otherwise. And that's where your assumption is. You're assuming that William Frege was acting logically. What are you talking about? It's clear that William Frege was extremely controlling of his daughters. By your own admission, Leif Frege was resistant to the marriage arranged by her father. In addition to that, Miriam Frege found herself wrapped in controversy regarding the Nightgrave trial a few months ago. And finally, Beatrice Frege, the prodigal child, finally returned and made a public spectacle of it during the Lord's Ball. What are you trying to insinuate? In his eyes, William Frege's ability to keep his daughters in line was clearly weakening. He must have gotten desperate and made a grand declaration in a feeble attempt to scare you, Leif. Even if that declaration was clearly inconsistent. But he wouldn't... Your ability to remember must be muddled by the shock of your father's death. His statement couldn't have possibly been true. If by some chance it were true, that would make you guilty of perjury. Or perhaps it was Miriam that was lying in her testimony. If your father's statements were true, the court might be inclined to investigate her for lying on the stand. Miss Timora, are you threatening her? As I said before, I am merely stating the law. I'm just asking her to consider the potential consequences of what she says next. What do I do? Damn it, she was really pressuring Leif to side with her. She was clearly conflicted, though. Wasn't there anything I could do? I could feel a sense of clarity when I looked at her. Was the Eye of Horus reacting to her stress? I'm sorry, I need time to think. Please don't stare at me like that, Mr. Cuthbert. Yeah, don't stare at her like that. Tyrion, focus. Wait a minute. Your Honor, I would like to... It was too late.
Naught can remain concealed.
I activated the empowered eye once again. There had to be something in her mind that I could use. The state of her father's inheritance was the backbone of my case. Was there anything in her mind that could definitively prove what was on his will? Let's see. Right, an inheritance? As much as I hate to admit it, that trial is a perfect opportunity to back out of my marriage to Jaden. Von Sanctus's holdings are weakening by the day. I doubt I'll be able to put up much resistance. And once Beatrice inherits the estate, we might be able to rebuild our family. She was assuming that Beatrice would inherit House Frege. That confidence must have meant that she was certain of what was in William's will. But how could I prove that? Leif's engagement. As much as I hate to admit it... Okay. That's the same. What about the Sword of Spell Eating? Did both of the swords find their way into Beatrice's room? Could Tracker have... No. Miss McCoy's sword is one thing, but he couldn't have possibly broken into the Heraldson Gallery. Although he was extremely fixated on it. What? Did she know how Celeste's sword was taken? As much as I wanted to follow that lead, it could be all for nothing if the trial ended now. I needed to say something else. Armbands of Intellect. What? Why am I thinking about this? That didn't evoke any useful thoughts from her. Heraldson Security? No? Okay. Rats. No? Not rats? Who's this Tracker guy? That's something I want to know. Anti-magic murder weapon. No? What Jan heard? Rega Manor Floor 1? The lockdown? Beatrice's blindness. Beatrice, after all these years, she's finally returned. I can't believe that this is how things have ended up. If only I were as strong as her, I'd be able to endure this. I didn't get any leads from that. Alright. Earrings of Vitality. No? We have to think about people now, I guess. Ruby? Ruby tomorrow. I've heard stories about her. I never expected Beatrice to hire someone like her. I wonder if she'll be at the will reading tomorrow.
A will reading? Was it for William Frega's will? What about me? This man, I thought Aster hired him to protect Beatrice. Is someone paying him to betray us? Or is Beatrice actually... No, she can't be. I refuse to believe that she'd do something like this. I didn't get any leads from that. What about Celeste? Oh, no thoughts on Celeste. How about William Frega? Father, I know we had our differences, but... I did love you. And I never wanted you to die. She seemed genuinely surprised and regretful about his death. From our encounter earlier, I knew that Beatrice had an accomplice, but I doubted that it was Leif. Alright. What about Harold Haraldson? No? What about Eugene? No? Who's Tracker? That's what I want to know. Boyd von Sanctus? As much as I hate... Okay. No. And then... What about Aster? Not Aster. Miriam? Why would Miriam say those things? Am I misremembering what happened? No, I would have remembered something like that. She must be trying to protect Beatrice. So Miriam's testimony was a conscious lie. Beatrice's inheritance wasn't revoked until the night of the murder. I believe you've had enough time for deliberation, Mr. Cuthbert. Are you able to prove the defense's motive or not? I'm not, Your Honor. At least, not yet. It's clear we won't get anywhere until we can confirm the state of William Frega's will. And we can easily confirm that tomorrow morning, when William Frega's will is read to his family. How did you... I see. Once his will is read, it will become public record. I see no harm in waiting until tomorrow morning. I have no choice but to suspend this trial until William Frega's will can be read.
Objection!
This is ludicrous. The case against my client is completely outrageous. We've spent the entire court proceedings arguing if her motive even exists. The prosecution has very little evidence that physically implicates my client. Miss Tamora, you clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder. Of course I don't. She's completely innocent. Well, if your client didn't murder the victim, then who did? Oh! Ah! Are we doing it? Are we doing it to her? You can't just prove him innocent. Sorry. Due process. What's that? Reasonable doubt. What's that? You little. Your Honor, with no other suspects, are you in a position to pass a verdict? No, I am not. Objection, Your Honor. The prosecutor is a hacker. Yes. I felt a bit guilty for using this trick against Miss Tamora, but I knew Beatrice was guilty. She'd always taught me to use any ploy I could to win anyway. Mr. Cuthbert is correct. The court does not have enough information to pass a verdict. Until the Inquisition has time to investigate these new developments, I will be suspending today's trial. We will resume the trial tomorrow afternoon. Court is adjourned. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun lobby conversation. Well, that happened. Oh no. Oh no, don't Marvel dialogue us here. Sorry, I kind of acted without thinking. But the weirdest part is that Steelwind somehow knew you would do that. Right, that is strange. Did she seriously predict what I'd do off of one conversation? Considering how things turned out, she was right on the mark. But that was still a gigantic gamble on her part. Anyways, we have some time to ourselves. I'd really like to catch up on some sleep. Yeah, today's been exhausting for a lot of reasons. And my work had only started. I still had no idea who Beatrice's accomplice was. The will reading was just an opportunity to buy us some time. So the question remained, who really murdered William Frega? What the hell was that? Why is your son filling in for Arya? You told me he was harmless. Listen, I have the situation under control. If that's true, I'd hate to see a situation you consider out of control. Eris, my father is not pleased with today's developments.
You promised that the verdict would be passed before William Frega's will became public record. This has thrown quite a wrench into the plan. I understand. Cuthbert is just confused, but he's not a threat to us. We'd better hope you're right, Tamora. Or else your poor ward might suffer the same fate as Prosecutor Steelwind. What? House Frege is too important a prize for us to let go. Bring us results, Tamora. Or else we might continue to take more drastic measures.
Oh boy. Ooh. Ooh. It's getting spicy. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there, because we're, like, near where I normally end it. But, oof. This is crazy. I love it. This is a really cool case. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Alrighty. Well, we will continue to see how us being the prosecution fares next time. All right, see you then.